Hey, good morning, everybody. It's time for another award-winning edition of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. And it's so good to see everybody. Believe it or not, it's already Friday, the 6th of August. We say good morning, Teri Chamberlain. Good to see you, Teri.
Good morning, but it's the 7th of August.
The 7th. You know, I don't know
You,
why.
you have been, are you looking at last year's calendar?
Yeah.
You've been off all week.
Thanks for telling me that. All week I've been getting up on the wrong side of the bed, and now I know why. And time flies when you're having fun. And we also want to say a pleasant good morning to John Disharoon. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Roger and Terry.
You know, it's another beautiful morning. They say it'll be partly sunny, and the National Weather Forecast keeps talking about the fact that patchy fog. But you come all the way from Cuba, and you had no fog. I come all the way, well, it's not a long way, from Morton and no fog. But somewhere, someplace in central Illinois, there is fog.
And it's got to be a low-lying area that's not in the Illinois River Basin, because both of us cross or come near the river.
Yeah,
so maybe
right.
it's maybe it's the 13th hole on the golf course.
And I didn't check the North Valley, wherever that is, to find out if it was foggy in the North Valley.
Well, Terry, did you see any fog this morning?
I saw no fog.
No. Somewhere there is, because they're sticking to it.
I think it's generated by AI, and the news service or the weather service hasn't had a live weatherman.
Yeah, which reminds me, I've been using AI quite a bit, and I am surprised at the number of things that I think they're wrong about. Do either one of you go to AI for one thing or another?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I've told both my children and my wife that you can't trust AI.
No, you can't.
And Jack even pays for the premium Chat GPT, because
That's
it gives
your
you
son?
unlimited. Yes, it gives you unlimited searches. But Karen was interviewing a school board candidate down in Florida, and she went to one of the AI bots and asked what the average spend per pupil was in Walton County, Florida, and it said $27,000. And she used that number with this school board candidate, and he goes, no, it's not that high. And while she was on the phone, I went to Google and searched and said, what's the average spend per pupil in Walton County, Florida? And it said 13,000.
It's like,
So it's somewhere between 13 and 27. I'm in the process now of building some water towers for Karen for her garden, her raised gardens. And I've got these big 275-gallon totes, and I want to put them 4 feet off the ground so gravity will feed and they can go down and water the gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know how to build it, but I asked ChatGPT for a build list for a 4x3, 4-foot elevated, and it gave me a complete lumber list and cut list and everything. And like an idiot, I just wrote it down and tripled it and went to the store and bought everything. And I'm done with 2 of them, and I've gone back for more wood twice. And if I'd have looked at it, I would have realized that there's no way in hell 12 boards is going to do this. But I'm like, yeah, it's got to be.
It's gotta be right.
And so I've learned that you can't trust it. I mean, some stuff I'm sure is accurate, but there's some idiot out there generating.
Well, what was the old saying I used to hear years ago about computers garbage in, garbage out?
Yep.
Isn't that pretty much also follow with AI? Somebody's putting this stuff in. I'm amazed at how quick they respond to some of the questions you ask. I mean, current questions, sometimes I've gotten in an argument on more than one occasion with, and it's amazing how they respond sometimes very quickly. Yes, you're right. And then, then I go, hey, we're okay.
It's pretty crazy, and you hear about people that really rely on writing term papers and doing business calculations and things of that nature, and you read about the mistakes all the time, and I'm like, who would rely on this stuff? But sometimes I'll notice that in a news story too, or somebody will say something like, well, that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah.
Abe Lincoln was not the 32nd president of the United States.
What was that commercial years ago where the guy's walking on the street and he had a girlfriend and You know what I'm talking about? It
Yeah.
says, yeah, I met her on the internet or whatever it is. I forget, but it was a cute commercial and it was a funny commercial.
It was a funny one, because then he goes, well, it's on the internet. It had to be true.
Yeah, that, exactly right. And that made it funny because everybody knows you can't trust
Just
anything
everything.
on the internet. And that, I just heard on news out of Chicago. I listen to WLS sometimes coming to the studio in the morning. And Meta has been fined, Meta, I guess, millions of dollars, and they're going to put it in a slush fund to take care of children who have been harmed by the internet or by InstaTalk or whatever, Instagram, et cetera, and so forth. And I thought, you know what? It really, and I'm not a big fan of Meta, and they've got the money, I guess, to pay the fine. But one way you keep children from being harmed by the internet is don't let them get on the internet.
Yeah, take their phone away.
Yeah,
exactly.
monitor what they do.
An 8-year-old doesn't need an iPhone and access to the unlimited internet, the dark web.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't understand that. And the same holds true, you know. You could sue the movie industry because I still maintain a lot of people who do bad things get ideas from movies that they see, and they have ratings, PG, et cetera, and so forth. But how well are those policed by little kids who are taking your ticket at one of these box theaters that they have? I just don't understand. And there have been tragic stories in the news, including, I think, one locally for that matter, where they talked about a child who committed suicide, and the family is suing the social platform. And you want to say, well, parents, where was it? Just like they just sent the father, the shooter at one of the schools that killed, what, 2 teachers
In
and 2
Georgia?
students? Yeah. And they gave the father, what, 11 years in prison? Well, they held him accountable because they said, you knew your son was having mental problems. What in the hell are you buying an AR-15 or 25 or whatever the automatic weapon was? And so he's going to prison for 11 years. That hopefully will send a signal to other fathers who are probably guilty of the same thing, maybe not with an automatic weapon, but with a gun. How'd the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, how'd he wind up with that rifle? And he obviously, in my opinion, is a nutcase.
Grandpa's gun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Grandpa's gun, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're supposed to be locked up with a key and a bolt and everything else. And I think probably 90% of the gun owners, and that's a rough estimate, probably do that. And then there are some who don't, such as the shooter of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, it's horrible actually, and that people will, you know, they first of all, parenting has kind of gone by the wayside now, right? They
As
don't-
we knew it, yeah.
Yeah, they don't, you know, you don't get a babysitter, you send them to school, right? You don't want to raise your kids, so you have the teacher do it. You don't go to parent-teacher conferences because, you know, you don't want to get the feedback on it. And then there's no responsibility, whether it comes to guns or access to alcohol or medication, curfews.
Yeah.
You know, I
Curfew,
see.
what's that?
Yeah, I mean, I come in here early in the morning driving down there, and there's 3 or 4 kids on bikes with no lights.
Yes, yeah,
Where are they going?
yeah.
Or where are they coming from?
Probably where they're coming from.
Yeah.
It's time to go home. We've stolen as many things as we can out of cars in the neighborhood. Well, let's do what we do every morning. Bring you the most comprehensive news in Peoria radio to bring you up to date. What's happening? What happened overnight? John, we'll start with weather, brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, making a difference in the lives of the people they serve. They've been around helping people in their homes since 1993 with a comprehensive range of home health services from skilled nursing to bathing and personal care. Your choice matters at Spoon River. You can reach them today for more details, 309-245-0723.
Well, Roger, today it's going to be partly sunny with a high around 85. Tonight, partly cloudy, an overnight low of 69 with just a chance for rain. Low is going to be 70. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance for showers after midnight, the low of 69. And Sunday morning showers and thunderstorms, then partly sunny and high of 88. Monday, we're going to get up to the 90s. 91 for a high on Monday. Currently, we have 66 degrees and no fog.
No fog and humidity in the low 90s, according to the National Weather Bureau. For investment questions and information, consider Bob Manning of the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley, right here in downtown Peoria. Bob is a senior vice president, has been in the investment advisory field now for more than 27 years, and you can reach Bob today at 309-671-4653. With our lead story, here's Terry.
By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes. We'll talk about the vote with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan around 7:30 this morning.
Those two guys don't like each other, do they?
Not in the least.
Annie Fauci and Rand Paul. In other news, President Trump, this is interesting, signed 2 executive orders restricting birthright citizenship. Hey, we're revisiting that platform. The president's order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism by seeking to deny them access to the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship, such as children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. That's quite a bit of word salad in there.
Yeah, it
do
is.
your best to interpret that.
More good news for Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. He's been released from a rehab center and is now home, recovering from injuries he suffered from a fall on June 14th. The 84-year-old McConnell hopes to return to the Senate following weeks of home physical therapy.
For 10 points, the late Rush Limbaugh used to have fun with Mitch McConnell. You remember what he called him?
Turtle.
The turtle. Yeah,
Turtleneck.
He looks like Yertle the Turtle.
yeah, he does a little bit. And it sounds like he's coming out of the shell. Good for him. New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island by booing newly elected Mayor Zoran Mondani, so loud and so long the communists didn't get a chance to speak after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at Mondani to get out of here and nobody wants you, plus a few other profane suggestions. He left with his familiar smile on his face. Did you see that?
No,
they
I did
really
not.
gave him the raspberries, and I think he probably was surprised by that.
Well, Staten Island's a pretty tough crowd, actually.
Yeah. What was it? Roy said once when he was telling jokes, they weren't laughing. He said, "Hey, this is a tough crowd."
In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of North California Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius Ivy.
The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 school superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made a little over $322,000 last year, while newly appointed Dr. Jerry Bell was hired for an annual salary of $255,000. The assistant superintendent, Alexander Ike, as they call him, is earning $212,000 a year. 8 others in District 150 administration are paid between $141,000 to $191,000. That's a lot of money for people in an administration. I assume they earn every dollar of it. I assume.
What's a starting teacher make? 45,000.
If that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably around in the low 40s. And where's our educators? John Meisinger
And Dave.
Dave Poles, Mike Olson. He'll know what.
Well, they all made a couple $100,000.
Well, they're in the 3-number
yeah,
bracket.
they're up there.
3 numbers, 6 numbers.
Six figures.
Yeah.
There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Councilmember Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous.
The next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is coming up Tuesday, September 8th. Air Force veteran Bob Reed joins us 7:15 this morning to give us the details. We're also happy to announce retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. Congratulations to Dan. He also, as a former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, has joined our Tuesday morning crew. And he had his inaugural introduction this week, and it was a delight to have him aboard, not only this week, but the coming weeks as well. And that's a look at some of the stories we're following this morning, and now we turn things over to WCBU, brought to you as a service of Morton Community Banks, 50 branches offering a full range of personal and business banking services. Hometown banks, FDIC insured, so your deposits are safe. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. As the November election approaches, some Peoria organizations are pushing to get more people involved in voting, particularly on the South Side. The local NAACP and League of Women Voters will hold a Voting Rights Day of Action on Saturday at the Peoria Public Library's Lincoln Branch. Pastor Marvin Hightower is the NAACP Peoria president.
It's a responsibility that we have as citizens of this country. That's the theme.
Chris Kergard of the League of Women Voters notes the South Side has the city's lowest voter registration and the lowest election turnout. East Peoria leaders have approved a salary increase for a full-time mayor who also acts as the city's chief executive. The raise to an annual base salary of about $128,000 does not apply specifically to current mayor John Call, but Commissioner Mike Sullivan believes Call has excelled in handling both roles for the last 7 years.
Take a look at our past city administrators that we've hired, and they haven't turned out so well. This one's turning out pretty good for all of us.
The salary increase would go to whoever is elected mayor next April. Illinois Republicans are hitting Governor J.B. Pritzker for not condemning House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch's handling of a sexual harassment case. Pritzker is not calling on Welch to resign after a legislative watchdog revealed he knew of sexual harassment allegations against a lawmaker 3 years ago before more cases emerged. House Minority Leader Tony McCombie wants Welch to resign and says Pritzker should make a similar call.
People are worried about their futures, their safety, and this is the culture that we have to end.
McCombie says this is, quote, not a House problem, it's a Welch problem. And Washington is seeking public input on plans to create the city's first business development district. A public hearing is set for September 8th pending City Council approval later this month to gather opinions on the economic development tool. If the district is approved, a 0.25% sales tax would be added to most purchases from retailers within its boundaries. Revenue from the sales tax could be used within the district for items like public infrastructure improvements and new building construction. I'm Colleen Holden.
Okay, Colleen, we're going to turn the sports with all the latest. There's John Disharoon sitting in for the vacationing Dr. Gene Sidler. What do you have? What's your lead story in the world of sports?
Well, for Friday, August 7th, it must be football time, Roger. Football in August. What do you think of that?
Yeah, they had a game last night,
Well,
did
the
they
NFL
not?
season, preseason.
Was it free, or did you have to pay to watch it?
Oh, it was free. I mean, I watched it.
I
don't
wish
think
I
paid
didn't
for
watch.
it.
Who played?
It was the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, that was very interesting. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
So the NFL preseason opened last night with a Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, not to be confused with Canton, Illinois.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It featured the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. While most of the established starters sat out, the spotlight was on young quarterbacks and players fighting for roster spots. Carolina eked out a 33-30 win.
Ooh, good game.
On a time-expiring touchdown drive, capping a high-scoring game that witnessed 13 lead changes.
Ooh, that must have been a good game to watch. Where was I? Doggone it.
I mean, it was 7-0, 7-7, 13-7, 13-13, 20-13, 20-20, 27. I mean, just back and forth, back and forth. Carolina was down 20 27-30 with under a minute to play, and they made a goal line stand, and as time expired, his hand went across the line, and they eked out a 33-30 win. So if that's what the season's like,
Boy,
hold on to
go
your
for it.
shorts.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Or your muffins.
In Major League Baseball, the playoff race continues to heat up. One of the night's biggest performances, again, came from Ohtani, who launched 2 home runs, continuing another remarkable defensive season out in Los Angeles. The Cubs also got another huge performance from Pete Crow Armstrong, who continues to strengthen his National League MVP credentials with power, speed, and elite defense. At Wrigley Field, the Cubs staged a dramatic comeback against Toronto. Alex Bregman tied the game with a 2-strike, 2-out home run in the 9th inning before Pete Crow Armstrong's aggressive base running forced the winning defensive mistake in extra innings, giving Chicago a thrilling walk-off victory. So the Cubs won in extra innings. On the south side, Caleb Durbin lined a single to center field off Chicago's Eric Fed in the 13th inning to score Nick Sogard, and the Boston Red Sox rallied to beat the White Sox 12-11 last night in a game that lasted more than 4 hours. So the pitch clock is not helping these teams to go into extra innings. Connor Wong had a 2-run home run. Anthony Sigler added 3 RBI and scored a run. Weiler Abreu had 2 RBI, including 1 to tie the game in the 9th inning, and Monsterio also added 2 RBI doubles. In in Milwaukee, Pittsburgh fell to the Brewers 5-2. Dustin May won his Milwaukee debut, and Jackson Chourio and Gary Sanchez hit home runs as the Brewers defeated the Pirates 5-2 yesterday afternoon. After losing the opener, the Brewers won the final 3 games in the series. So Pittsburgh's kind of on a slide, and as usual, the Brewers are picking up their pace. In other major league action, the Angels beat the Orioles 4-1. The Reds were 6-5 over the Athletics. The Mets 13-6 over the Guardians. The Tigers beat the Mariners 11-0. The Phillies were 7-3 over the Nationals. The Braves were 11-3 over the Marlins, and the Twins 4-3 over the Royals. The Arizona Diamondbacks lost to the Padres 5-1. Other than that, it was kind of quiet around the sports stations last night. A lot of the talking heads are talking about, the NBA's in the off season, so teams are evaluating their summer league performance. The North American hardcourt tennis season continues as players prepare for the final Grand Slam, the U.S. Open, later this month up in New York. There's always going to be PGA golf on every weekend, but nothing to talk about yet. Soccer, European clubs are in preseason. I mean, there's just not a lot out there, Roger. I wish I could report on the senior softball league that your girlfriend is involved in, but I can't find anything on the scores or where they're playing.
I know, it's really hard. I caught YouTube, the first few innings on YouTube, and then after so long, I was in YouTube as a guest. And after so long, they switched to a different game automatically. But I could go back, which I did, and I can watch those first few innings over again. But I couldn't get a live broadcast. You can get it if you pay ESPN Plus. Then that's something +2 or 3 or whatever the case may be for $19.95 a month. And I think they may have lost their game. It was a good game for that matter. Going back to the Cub game, I know a little bit about baseball and did play-by-play for the American Forces Radio Network in Europe. And the Cubs won, but it wasn't because of Greg Conso's managing. You go into extra innings, as you know, they put a designated runner on second base. Well, Conso put in Carson Kelly, who is a catcher. Now, as you know, as a baseball fan, catchers are famous for being slow-footed. They're big, they're strong, but they're not fast. And so he had a catcher on at second base. I forget, I think it might have been Dansby Swanson. Hit a ground ball single to center field. 2 things. One is a ground ball, which means the player is going to run from second to third as quick as he can, and then it bounded out in the center field, which is the longest field to cover for a center fielder. And guess what happened? He was thrown out at the plate. because he was slow. And counsel, why normally a manager will put one of their faster players as a designated runner in extra innings. But it was forgotten because the Cubs wound up and won. But poor managing.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless he was trying to give this kid a redemption play, and he didn't. He got thrown out.
On the other hand, you can see what speed will do. There was no great reason. Well, there was a great reason because there was only one out for Pete Crow Armstrong to steal third base, and that surprised the catcher. He panicked, and if you saw the replay, when he threw it, his body was not set to throw, and he threw over the third baseman's head. And Armstrong, who slid into third, popped up real quick and made it easily to home plate, and that's how the Cubs won the game.
Cubs win.
That guy has been the player this year. Earlier in the year, I said there's no one individual that draws a player. Years ago, Sammy Sosa brought fans to Wrigley Field because of his home runs and his personality and so forth. Mark McGwire was the big draw for the Cardinals at about the same time of the year. Well, for the Cubs this year, who do you go see? Ian Happ? I don't think so. Carson Kelly? I don't think so. But this Pete Crow Armstrong is an exciting player and is a draw for the Cubs.
And that's a great point, Roger. When we came back, I see younger kids wearing Cubs jerseys, and usually it's names you recognize, and I see this Crow / Armstrong. I'm not following a lot of sports. And I'm like, I've seen several of these. First of all, they're baby blue jerseys, which I think is god-awful for a color. And I'm like, you must have bought that at Walmart, but I guess that's an official Cubs color now.
Yeah, well, for some uniforms, you're right.
But these young guys are wearing Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, they are.
And the dude's legit for MVP.
On the other hand, you're a Cardinal fan, right?
I'm just not a fan.
Okay, but there's no draw for the Cardinals. I don't think. I can't. And I follow the Cardinals. I'm an unusual Cub fan. If the Cubs can't win, I root for the Cardinals because it is a Midwestern baseball team. I do root for the Yankees, obviously, because that's who my brother played for. But even before that, when I was growing up, Babe Ruth was a big hero. Lou Gehrig was a big hero. Scooter Rizzuto, the shortstop.
Don't forget about Scooter.
Yeah, Scooter was a draw. But for the Cardinals, they've traded some of their. Edman is now with the Dodgers, and he had a home run, maybe a couple of home runs against the Cubs. And he used to be with the Cardinals. But there's Arenado was somewhat of a draw, but they got rid of him. I'm trying to think who he is. I think, does he play for Arizona now? But the Cardinals have no players say, hey, I want to go see so-and-so.
Yachty.
Yeah, Molina, exactly right. He was a draw.
Oh, for years.
Yeah. And Pujols, who I think played for the Peoria Chiefs at one time, was a big draw for the Cardinals. But, boy, it's a totally different situation today with the Cardinals. They don't have a player that is a big personality.
Yeah.
So too bad for them.
St. Louis, they got the Dome, they've got the zoo, they've got Budweiser, and no stars.
And Grant's Farm. Don't forget Grant's Farm.
Boone Hill, Grant's Farm.
Yeah. Is that connected to Budweiser as well?
Yeah, that's where the Clydesdales.
That's where the Clydesdales hang out?
Yeah.
Where do they go? Wherever they want to go. All right, it is at the bottom of the hour. Let's get caught up with our news headlines, as we normally do. And it's brought to you by our good friend Matt Wall, CPA and tax specialist with Gordon Stockman Wall. Matt Wall, experienced in federal and state tax compliance, employee benefits. He also handles estate and trust tax planning, all things financial. Think about the name Matt Wall and think about his phone number, 309-692-4030. With the news, here's Teri.
By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes. We'll talk about the vote with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan at 7:30 this morning. President Trump signed 2 executive orders restricting birthright citizenship. The president's order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism by seeking to deny them access to the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship, such as children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island by booing newly elected Mayor Zohran Mamdani so loud and so long the communists didn't get a chance to speak after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at Mamdani to get out of here and nobody wants you, plus a few other profane suggestions. He left with his familiar smile. I call it a smirk.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of North Carolina Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius Ivy. The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 School Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made little over $322,000 last year, while newly appointed Dr. Jerry Bell was hired for an annual salary of $255,000. The Assistant Superintendent Alexander Akishu is earning $212,000 a year. 8 others in 150 administration are paid between $141,000 to $191,000.
I wonder how the number of people working in District 150 administration compares to when, as an example, Harry Whitaker was superintendent. I think they've added an additional layer, you might say, of administrators at great cost to District 150 taxpayers. That's one of the reasons I liked, and we interviewed Andy Diaz, who represents District 2. He's raising questions that a lot of people have raised but didn't have the influence or the power or the position to raise those questions meaningful. And he's going to raise them, and he is raising them, so I commend him. And I would urge the fellow board members, quit taking pot shots at him on a personal level. Deal with the issues, not whether or not he is a minority or not a minority.
Yeah, he's a concerned parent in the school district.
Exactly. And that's what he was elected for.
There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Councilmember Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous. The next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is Tuesday, September 8th. Air Force Veteran Bob Reed joins us at 7:15 this morning to give us the details. We're also happy to announce retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. General McDonough, former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, has also joined our Tuesday morning crew. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you, Terry. And how about a check of the weather brought to you by our good friend Kyle Varnold, who will join us a little later on this morning live and in the studio, providing personal and business insurance for auto, home, life, and health. Kyle, works with multiple carriers, as they call them, or insurance companies, to find the right policy at the right price for individuals, families, and businesses, large and small. And you can talk to Kyle today. He's available at 309-682-0519. John, what do you have for our weather today?
Well, it's going to be partly sunny today, a high around 85. Tonight, partly cloudy. Overnight, just a chance for rain, low about 70. Tomorrow, it's going to be sunny, 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance for showers after midnight with a low of 69. Sunday morning, showers and thunderstorms are on the way, then partly sunny and a high of 88. Monday, it's going to get up to 91 for a high. Currently 68 degrees at the radio station.
And 94% relative humidity. Oh, the days of summer.
No.
So happy you could join us on WACU FM 90.7 on your radio dial, and also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS standing for live streaming, which is what we do for that matter. I want to talk a little bit this morning, if you don't mind, panel, about housing for the unhoused, is what they call it, and instead of the homeless. And the city gets a pat on the back as if they care what Roger Monroe thinks, because they've done a good job of eliminating pretty much the homeless encampments that used to be on I-74 near the bridge, which was a pain in the butt. And then they had one by Landmark, did they not? Terry, you may recall that one. And there were some in other locations. I haven't seen any. I don't. If they're out there, they're well hidden. So the city has done a pretty good job. However, I don't understand, and maybe we need to get a hold of the executive director who appeared before the city council for the Phoenix Housing Development Service Organization, as to why did they build a facility for the homeless in downtown Peoria. I don't understand that. Maybe it's because the land was available and it was cheap, but it is located in the 200 block of North Madison on the riverside of Madison, that essentially is across the street from 4 Points, 3 Points, Sheridan. And what great advertising for people staying in Peoria to see the people and some of the residents hang outside. And now you have people on the south side, in the area of where the Harrison School once was. They want to build a facility there. That I understand, but I also understand the neighbors saying, we don't need that. If it's built a nice, beautiful individual homes like they did on South Jefferson and MacArthur Highway, those are pretty nice homes, individual homes and so forth.
Is that River West Development?
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah. And they're attractive, and hopefully they're well maintained and so forth. And as you know, public housing is a form of warehousing people, but it's the most economical way, I guess, to approach it. They did tear down all the former Taft homes and have rebuilt, and those are pretty nice, but it still is public housing. What I don't understand with Phoenix and with the city of Peoria, when you think about building a facility to house the homeless, you need to find a place or a location that is within walking distance of a grocery store or a pharmacy, because where are they going to get their groceries? How are they going to get there? Because they don't have transportation. They don't have cars or trucks. And if they do, I don't think they qualify for it. But what are your thoughts? Are we making are there alternatives? Usually if you're going to criticize, well, what's your plan, Roger?
I think for the most part, if they're unhoused, they're also unmoneyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
You're right. Good point.
So, you got to help them go somewhere. But I have a tendency to listen to the neighbors, and there's a lot of NIMBY out there, not in my backyard, but from people that are very active in the schools on the south side, people that are very active in the neighborhoods. Everybody's against this, and the councilwoman is actually listening to her constituents there.
Yes, she is.
So find a better place. Don't shove it down the throats of people that don't want it. Peoria, you're only asking for trouble. And the people that are contributing to keep these neighborhoods habitable, volunteering to clean it up and try to keep the gangs out, you're going to turn them off if you shove these developments in to areas that they're not welcome to. So go someplace else.
It's interesting that for a time, the old Ramada Inn that used to house the School of Nursing for Methodist Hospital, it's now empty. And I thought there was going to be some conversation to take that building and turn it into housing development. But again, it's not near any grocery stores or any even public transportation. I don't know if I've ever seen a bus in that neighborhood, the local transit facility. Speaking of neighborhood, I was on the county board when we started looking at a new location, different location for the city or the county jail. As you may recall, it was located on Hamilton, right across from the courthouse. It was an ideal location for bad guys to walk across the street or be walked across the street for court hearings and so forth. And I was on the committee that was looking at different locations, and the committee came up with a location on the south side of Peoria. I'm going to say 6 to 10 blocks from the courthouse. And I can't remember her name. God bless her. She's a wonderful black lady who I had a good relationship with. I just thought the world of her. And she really shot our committee down when we announced that it was a potential location. And it was just what you just said. She said, I'll tell you what, how would you like it if we put the jail in your neighborhood, Roger, or in your neighborhood, Bill, who was one of those on the committee that came up with that location. And as a result, because of her leadership, we took that off the board, off the table very, very quickly. And we wound up building it, as you know, out by the airport, not far from the Bellwood Nursing Home and so forth. But the big argument against it was the cost of transportation to the courthouse for hearings. Well, we overcame that, or the judicial folks did, by having video hearings from the jail. So, you know, it raises the question, well, what is another possible location for the unhoused and the unmoneyed, as you said? And I don't know, maybe along the river, kind of a facility like Alcatraz.
But aren't they in the process of rehabilitating? Is it Warner Homes that's there at the riverfront? They're tearing a bunch of buildings down and putting in the single-family dwellings.
You got me on that.
That was Harrison.
Harrison, you know, the
It's
one right
Harrison.
next to, just next to the riverfront club,
Riverplex?
Riverplex.
Oh, well, that
homes.
used to be Taft Homes.
Yeah, Taft.
Yeah.
And so they've torn down that,
renamed
and
and built new ones on the same location.
Right.
Yeah.
so there's plenty of real estate there. All those empty buildings on both sides of it.
Well,
across the street.
Yeah, well, just not too far away. Of course, you have the Riverplex, which I thought was a terrible location for the Park District, but it's working out okay. And then on the other side, what is the name of the new development? They got rid of Taft Homes and gave it a new name.
Is it River East or
And
something?
Call a horse by any other name. It's still a horse, but it's still public housing. But on the other side is that Japanese manufacturing company that
Komatsu?
has been there. What?
Komatsu?
No, that's further
way
up.
down.
That's up by the north end at Jefferson and
Is it
Adams.
PMP? Is that what it,
I think that is PNP. As a matter of fact, a good friend of the family, Jim Zinkon, is the president of that company, and we ought to call him. But I think he's close to retiring. Any rate,
Providence
you know,
Point.
Providence Point, is that what they call
the new
it?
Taft.
Okay. I like that name. Was Taft Homes named after William Taft, or we really don't know?
I
do
don't
we?
know, no.
Yeah, we were quick to change all the names of the presidents in some of our schools, but we haven't come up with a name that is someone would be proud of in public housing. So Providence Point sounds pretty good. You know, they had their set of troubles. They had a administrator who was running Taft Homes, who was also administrator of public housing in Springfield. You remember that?
yes.
I thought, that's a nice gig. You're in charge of two public housing areas, both about an hour and 10 minutes separate from one another, depending on how fast you drive on I-55 to get to Peoria from Springfield and so forth.
So Taft Homes was named after Mr. Republican Robert Alfonso Taft, the Ohio senator.
The senator. Okay.
Yeah, so somebody must have had a connection to him. And
Yeah,
so let's name
that
this
didn't
housing
make
development
much sense.
after him.
What do you have, Terry?
Yeah, it was temporary housing for returning veterans of the Korean War. It was kind of
I never heard that.
yep. That was
explanation.
the idea. It was to get them before transitioning to low-income public housing.
Well, we all know there is a problem for housing the unhoused and in Peoria. And as I say, the city's to be commended because we got rid of those encampments. But I would, I think yesterday, Terry, you mentioned it, that these guys standing guard, so to speak, at intersections are getting, asking for donations, are getting a little on the aggressive side.
I think it was
And-
Dave that mentioned it Wednesday, that
Okay.
somebody,
Well, I had experienced some of that not far from our studios here off of Sterling, and I, because of what was said on our program, I did not get bumper to bumper with the car in front of me. I left plenty of space so that if I decided that I wanted to get away from this guy because he was getting physically closer to my car than I cared, and I had the window open, which I quickly closed, and he was giving me the old evil eye, give me a donation or else. But fortunately, he was on the passenger side of my car, so it would have been difficult for him to do anything physically. But they're back out, and for a time, I think they were on vacation or something with the money that they get. And it really bothers me when I see, I saw a guy in a commercial truck. I don't know what company he represented, but he handed him, I think, a $5 or a $10 bill. And I said, boy, oh boy, I'll bet that guy is going to live high off the hog today.
It's ridiculous. You get out by Grand Prairie, and every intersection has got somebody.
Are they really at that, really?
And it's, so you got 3 lanes coming south on 91. You've got 6 lanes on War Memorial, turning right and left and going straight back to Home Depot and the coffee shop and the rib shop and the car wash. And the city, in all of their wisdom, don't pass an ordinance banning these panhandlers. No, put a sign up. It's dangerous to panhandle in the median.
That scares the hell out of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they debated this years ago. I remember. I think Artis might have been still on the council then, or maybe it was right after Ms. Ali took over. But I used to dial in and watch the city council meetings for my entertainment, And
A lot of laughs. Huh?
I miss the parrot on the shoulder, the Gary Sandberg days.
I do too, if you know the truth.
I used to watch that when we were in Europe, and I stopped Gary when I came in town one day. I was back on home leave or an office visit or something, and I said, Gary, people are watching this. What are you doing? And he's like, it's my bird.
Yeah.
It's my bird.
He came on our morning show on WOM with the bird, and he had crap
All over it.
on his shirt. And I thought, you want to put what was the name of his parrot?
Jelly Bean, wasn't it?
Jelly Bean?
Jelly Bean, I think.
Oh, yeah,
I think you're right.
I
Yeah.
never got that far. But anyway, so they've been debating this for years, and rather than pass an ordinance banning it, the Corporation Council says, well, you got the St. Jude runners and well, give them a license.
Yeah.
But to put a sign up, because I don't like it. They come up, especially if you drive with your window down.
Yeah.
If you don't look at them, they give you the eyeball.
Oh, they do.
They'll knock on the glass, and you got kids and small dogs in the car that are barking. I mean, you don't want the distraction, and it's dangerous for them. If they, God forbid, they fell in front of you, you'd live with that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you would.
I mean, 10 points is 10 points, but still, it's a human being.
One of the things that bothers me about some of them, not all of them, but some of them, they look healthy and physically able to go to work. And nearby McDonald's is always looking for help, and a lot of the fast food restaurants and so forth. But I think they believe, based on their experience, they can make more money begging for money than if they worked for money.
17,
And some of them literally set up camp. Some of them have chairs that they bring, fold-out chairs, and other amenities. You'll see them drinking coffee or 7-Up bottle or Mountain Dew or something of that nature. So they're not starving.
it's funny. They're the intersection of Route 9 and Route 24. So as you're coming out of Bartonville, and you can turn left there and go to Pekin, or you can keep going south to Banner. 2 very large women were working that intersection, and I drive by there several times a day. and one of the gals had this collapsible chair, and it collapsed. I mean, it fit its definition.
You know what? I have been there, and I've seen those women. You're exact. They're sumo wrestlers at night.
And I'm laughing, and she can't get up, and she can't get out of the chair, and her girlfriend or her partner or whatever it is on the other side saying, get out the road, get out. And I was like, don't exceed the weight capacity of your chair if you're going to beg or stand up.
And sit down.
But she sat, the chair collapsed, she rolled into the, everybody's making a wide turnaround, nobody'd
they
stop
don't
and help
hit her,
her. I was going to hook up the hitch and see if I could get her out of
Yeah,
the intersection.
Well, obviously she wasn't undernourished. And we have someone on the line. I wonder, is it Mr. Fredley? Good morning.
Good morning, Breakfast and Roger and fans.
Hey, how's school
Well,
been?
It's been school. I ain't have to put hands on anybody, thank God. I only had to redirect a couple of people because there's some new students that's not familiar with the building. But so far, so good. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on my head right now.
Dude, you got to get to Central. Central needs you.
There you go. No, sir. No, sir. I am where God needs me to be. I was meant to be at Central. I would have went there, but I'm going to pass on that. That's a hard pass.
We need you at Central. Put in for a transfer.
This is the thing. This is the thing. I think that because of my expertise and my years of service and everything, I think that our chief has put everybody where they need to be. And, I mean, later on down the line, I'm not saying that I wouldn't transfer, but I'm comfortable and wonderful where I'm at. Trust and believe.
You would have so much more fun at Central.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. That sounds like a setup to me, man.
So how is the kids
It's not that I haven't been to the high school before. I've been over there before. I've been to pretty much all the schools because we all got to go through. When you first come in, you kind of got to do like a training here, training there. So that's the high school that they sent me to do some training at. So I was at Central before and Richwoods. And I've been down to Manual also because we do like the different programs, like when they have the sports and stuff like that. All the officers, it's pretty much all hands on deck. So yeah, and that I have not been there. I'm not there. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, you're at a school, as I understand it, that has, shall we say, at-risk students or students that are not able to handle direction at other public schools. Am I right on that?
You said the school that I am stationed at currently?
Yes.
Yes, so I'm at the Glenn Barton building, it has 3 programs. It's the RISE program, the day treatment program, and the PAT program. So it's multiple. I got kids all the way from little kids all the way to high school kids. That's at the school I'm at. So I got an array of clients that I have to keep safe.
Yeah. So
that's the professional way I can put it.
Yeah, and I understand that. And these are students that, to be blunt, have been discipline problems, correct?
For part of it, that's kind of like the day treatment and the RISE program. It's kids that's kind of been, in a bit of a situation, and they send them there to make their credit so they can go back to their regular school, wherever their home
see.
school is.
Okay.
So not the PAT program. The PAT program is designed for young adults 18 to 22, and it's kind of people that's kind of special needs. Not all of them, but some of them are just kind of like they just teaching them life skills so that way they can be prepared to be on their own.
Okay.
All right. And you kind of you're a role model for the kids. I know they respect you because you're big.
Let's not get size involved.
Yeah.
No, well, this is the thing. They say about a guy with big feet, you wear big shoes. It's as simple as that. So,
Is that what they say, Ed?
Is that what they say?
Yeah, hey,
That is what
guys with big hands wear big gloves.
Yeah, that is what I've heard, but that's okay for that matter.
So, Uncle Roger, to answer your question, though, this is the thing. Anybody that knows me on a personal level, such as yourself and everybody in the studio, it's a personality that I have that is big. I'm a character in so many ways than not. You know what I'm saying? You have to have the right mindset to do this type of job. And if you come in with you're going to do what I say or else mentality, it's not going to work for you. It's only going to do that for so long. Now, the kids who are disciplined and understand right from wrong, of course they'll see an authority figure and say, uh-oh, that's an officer. I need to respect him and all that type of stuff. But if you're a knucklehead and you don't care about that, they don't care about what you got a badge on and none of that. If they don't respect their parents or their self, why would they respect you?
I will say this based on our conversations over the years. You enjoy what you're doing. You're working with young people. You're attempting to help them say and do and behave in the right way. And you're a role model. And we appreciate that and appreciate you and for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for those kind words, young man.
That is okay. Well, God bless you. And but overall, have the students been pretty well behaved, getting on the bus?
Yeah, it's really it's kind of amazing, but we know what that all means. I think they were probably, you know, it's hard to believe or not, but some kids do crave to come to school to learn, you know. So it is kids that miss being around their friends on a regular basis. You know, they get regular meals and all types of things. So, you know, it's multiple reasons why they haven't acted out yet. But, you know, give them a few weeks, and I'll be having a different conversation when I talk to you next.
Yeah, things could be a little different. But you actually greet them as they get off the bus to go into the school building. Is that pretty much your location?
Absolutely. Yep. Because that way you can get a feel of the climate of what's going on that day. You know, when people come in, they're smiling, they got their head down. Hey, put your head up. What up, buddy? Good morning. How you doing? High five. Boom.
Yeah.
So today is High Five Friday. This is what I do. I got this from a friend of mine that's a teacher and at the Von Steuben School where I was at. High Five Friday. So it's a way to just engage with the kids and kind of, if they don't really want to be in a good mood or not, you can kind of transfer energy to them.
Yeah.
What's up? Come on, put your hand up. High Five Friday. And being that I am tall, some of the little kids want me to put my hand up really, really high, knowing that they can't jump that high, but I do it anyway just to entertain them.
Yeah.
And then I kind of bring it down when they jump so they won't miss it and embarrass themselves. So it's just a way to engage with the kids and make them feel welcome.
Are you seeing some of the same kids returning this year?
Yeah, and then we got a lot of new kids, too. I've seen it because some of them transferred out because they go back to their regular schools, and also they, what do you call it? It's new kids just in general because it's new kids. It's a few people that moved in from the district that weren't here before, and so that's kind of where they end up being placed until they go to whatever school they're going to go to.
Well, God bless you for what you do, my friend. You are truly anointed by the good Lord to do good things, influence our young people, and we know there are too many young people still doing bad things, and we just need more Ed Parkers in the community to serve as counselors and role models for them to make their lives more productive rather than causing problems.
Well, thanks for the kind words, Uncle Roger. Love you guys. Y'all have a blessed day. I am on my way to save the princess.
Hey, Ed, I want you to get a sweatshirt, and on the left arm I want you to have Laux, and I want an X through it,
Yeah.
and on the right arm I want it to say Quest, and I want an X through it, and across the back shoulder blades I want it to say Glenn Barton.
Glenn Barton, yeah.
Okay. Well, if you buy that for me, I'll reimburse you. You guys have a blessed day.
You
Talk to
too.
later.
Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Ed, bye-bye. Ed Parker, Mr. Friendly. And you know, you're right. You actually were being funny, but very accurate. Laux School is what it used to be many years ago. It was a K through 8 grade school at the corner of University and McClure. And I don't know, where did you get Laux? Because Laux Avenue is
way over.
another part of the city. There must have been somebody named Louis Laux or something, whatever. But and then it became a Quest School, where we threw thousands of dollars away. I didn't see it make any academic difference or at risk of use or whatever. Now it's the Glenn Barton School. But you can't stop trying, and that's what our school officials are doing. Hey, we have more coming up in the next hour. You're having breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU, FM 90.7 in Peoria, also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS. In the next hour, we have Bob Reed going to talk about the honor flight that's going to take off next month. We'll get details on that. And Peoria attorney Kevin Sullivan joins us at the bottom of the hour at 7:30. So stay tuned. More coming your way on this Friday, August 7th. Roger, in Peoria, Illinois. Get the microphone ready, Roger. Good morning, everybody. As you heard, it is a Friday, and we welcome you to our program. And as usual, we start the top of the hour with a check of the weather with John Disharoon, brought to you by Steve Sink, Certified Business Specialist. He is with PHX Affiliates, a great organization. And Steve has been a business broker for over 20 years now, selling businesses large and small. And he also specializes in business valuation. This guy knows business, and we enjoy him being a sponsor of our morning program. You can reach Steve Sink at 309-696-8508 if you have any questions about business. And if you have any questions about the weather, here's John Disharoon.
Well, Roger, today it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 85. Tonight, partly cloudy. Overnight, just a chance for rain. Low about 70. Tomorrow, sunny, high in 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance for showers after midnight, and again between 3 and 6 a.m. Low of 69. Sunday morning, showers and thunderstorms likely, then partly sunny and a high of 88. Monday, sunny, high of 91. Currently, 68 degrees in the studio.
You got it. And now we have the news. The news brought to you by our friends at Advanced Medical Transport, the premier provider of emergency and scheduled ambulance service in central, western, and eastern Illinois. More than 500 A&T employees, men and women, they're all dedicated to offering and providing the best in healthcare. Saving lives is what they do. Teri Chamberlain, you have our lead story.
I do. By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes. We'll talk about that vote with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan at 7:30 this morning.
President Trump signed 2 executive orders. Are you ready for this? Restricting birthright citizenship. I thought we buried that issue by the Supreme Court. Not for the president. His order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism. That's a neat way of saying it. By seeking to deny them access to the country. We don't want them in the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship. It gave an example, children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments.
More good news for Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. He's been released from a rehab center and is now home, recovering from injuries he suffered from a fall June 14th. The 84-year-old McConnell hopes to return to the Senate following weeks of home physical therapy.
Have you seen him on television, more recent pictures?
I've not seen a recent picture.
He does not look well. But, you know, he's 84 for crying out loud. New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island. They celebrated by booing newly elected Mayor Zohran Mamdani so loud and so long the commie didn't get a chance to speak after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at the new mayor to, and we quote, "Get out of here," and "Nobody wants you, you clown." Well, I added that, plus a few other profane suggestions, and he left with his familiar smile.
In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of California Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius
A
Ivy.
tip of the hat to Peoria Police. We've had a number of stories just this past week or 10 days or so where they've taken some drug dealers, some drug users off the streets, so good for them. The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 School Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made a little over $322,000 last year after she retired. I mean, she's not making that anymore, but newly appointed Superintendent Dr. Jerry Hill, he was hired for an annual salary of $255,000. They already saved a few bucks here and there, didn't they, by hiring a new one? The Assistant Superintendent, Alexander Ike, as he is known, is earning $212,000 a year. 8 others in 150 administration are paid between $141,000 to $191,000 a year.
And there goes your savings.
Yeah, that's right. Well, maybe they need to fire Dr. Bauer, retire him, and hire somebody for a little less than $200,000.
Well, I have a question. It says the assistant superintendent is this Alexander guy. Wasn't the other contestant for the superintendent? Didn't she become deputy superintendent?
Yeah,
they created a title for her, a different title. I think they created a new position. Maybe it is a deputy, but I don't think it's assistant administrator. That position, that person who finished second was a newly created position.
So there's no savings.
No. Actually, they added to it, to tell you the truth, because she's in the six-figure category as well. You know, if I were on the school board, and this is a good question for Andy Diaz to ask, is would you give us a job description of this new position? And it should have been, and apparently it was, voted on, because it's a new position. And I don't think the superintendent can arbitrarily start it any more than a member of the school board can arbitrarily start it. So some research needs to be done. It used to be local news media used to dig for stories. They don't. They just rip and read, as we used to say, copy off what used to be the teletype.
The wire.
The wire, exactly right. But the bottom line is there are a lot of people making big money on North Wisconsin in Peoria.
There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Councilmember Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous.
For 10 points before Denise Jackson became a member of the city council, what did she do?
I have no idea.
Wasn't she in the news at Channel 25?
Yes.
I believe she was.
She was.
As I recall. We'll have to get a hold of her. In other news, the next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is Tuesday, September 8th. Air Force veteran Bob Reed, a good friend of the program and a good personal friend, joins us 7:15 this morning, coming up very shortly to give us the details. We're also happy to announce retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. Congratulations, Dan. McDonough, former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, has also joined our Tuesday morning crew as a regular member. And he started this week, and we had fun with Dan. We're going to have fun with news from WCBU, and it's brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart. Now listing a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in the city with an unbelievable view of the countryside from a gorgeous living room. This home has a beautiful kitchen with an adjoining dining room plus other wonderful amenities. You can get the details from Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart at 309-696-2162. Now more news.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. As the November election approaches, some Peoria organizations are pushing to get more people involved in voting, particularly on the south side. The local NAACP and League of Women Voters will hold a Voting Rights Day of Action on Saturday at the Peoria Public Library's Lincoln Branch. Pastor Marvin Hightower is the NAACP Peoria president.
It's a responsibility that we have as citizens of this country. That's the theme.
Chris Kergard of the League of Women Voters notes the South Side has the city's lowest voter registration and the lowest election turnout. East Peoria leaders have approved a salary increase for a full-time mayor who also acts as the city's chief executive. The raise to an annual base salary of about $128,000 does not apply specifically to current mayor John Call, but Commissioner Mike Sullivan believes Call has excelled in handling both roles for the last 7 years.
Take a look at our past city administrators that we've hired, and they haven't turned out so well. This one's turning out pretty good for all of us.
The salary increase would go to whoever is elected mayor next April. Illinois Republicans are hitting Governor J.B. Pritzker for not condemning House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch's handling of a sexual harassment case. Pritzker is not calling on Welch to resign after a legislative watchdog revealed he knew of sexual harassment allegations against a lawmaker 3 years ago before more cases emerged. House Minority Leader Tony McCombie wants Welch to resign and says Pritzker should make a similar call.
People are worried about their futures, their safety, and this is the culture that we have to end.
McCombie says this is, quote, not a House problem, it's a Welch problem. And Washington is seeking public input on plans to create the city's first business development district. A public hearing is set for September 8th pending City Council approval later this month to gather opinions on the economic development tool. If the district is approved, a 0.25% sales tax would be added to most purchases from retailers within its boundaries. Revenue from the sales tax could be used within the district for items like public infrastructure improvements and new building construction. I'm Colleen Holden.
All right, Colleen. Thank you, Colleen. Time for sports. John Disharoon is here with all the latest. John, what do you have?
They're back. NFL preseason opened last night with a Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, featuring the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. While most of the established starters sat out, the spotlight was on young quarterbacks and players fighting for a roster spot. Carolina eked out a 33-30 win on a time-expiring touchdown drive, capping a high-scoring game that witnessed 13 lead changes. So it was an exciting football on a Thursday night in Peoria. In Major League Baseball action, Pete Crow Armstrong scored on a throwing error in the 11th inning after Alex Bregman hit a two-strike, two-out homer in the ninth, and the Chicago Cubs rallied for a 3-2 victory over the Toronto Blue Jays on Thursday. And even as Roger mentioned earlier, that was despite the best managing by the manager, putting the catcher on second base in extra innings. Crow Armstrong singled leading off the 11th against Brandon Little, but automatic runner Carson Kelly, aforementioned catcher, was thrown out at the plate. The MVP candidate then tried to steal third, and Blue Jays catcher Brandon Valenzuela overthrew third baseman Josh Smith, allowing Crow Armstrong to dash home. He took off his helmet before touching the plate, tossed it to the protective netting before he was mobbed by his teammates. Cubs win in extra innings.
Cubs win.
In Boston, Caleb Durbin lined a single to center field off Chicago's Eric Fedd in the 13th inning to score Nick Sogard, and the Boston Red Sox rallied to beat the Chicago White Sox 12-11 on Thursday night in a game that lasted more than 4 hours. Connor Wong had a 2-run home run. Anthony Sigler added 3 RBI and scored a run. Willier Abreu had 2 RBI, including 1 to tie the game in the ninth, and Andrew Monasterio also added 2 RBI doubles. Brian Bello, 4 and 6, the last of 9 Red Sox pitchers, worked 2 innings for the victory. Fetty, 6 and 7, was the last of 8 Chicago pitchers. In Milwaukee, Dustin May won his Milwaukee debut, and Jackson Curio and Gary Sanchez hit home runs as the Brewers defeated the struggling Pittsburgh Pirates 5-2 on Thursday afternoon. After losing the opener, the Brewers won the final 3 games in the series. In other Major League action, the Angels beat the Orioles 4-1, the Reds 6-5 over the Athletics, the Mets 13-6 over the Guardians, and the Tigers 11-0 over the Mariners. The Phillies beat the Nationals 7-3. The Red Sox, as we mentioned, 12-11 over Chicago White Sox, and the Braves were 11-3 over the Marlins. The Twins outlasted the Royals 4-3. And that is your sports update for Friday, August 7th, 2026.
Well, your timing is just perfect because we have on the line a good friend of the program, a good friend of the community, a good friend of fellow veterans, retired Air Force veteran, Bob Reed. Good morning, Bob.
Oh, good morning, Roger and friends, and how's everyone today?
Oh, we're wonderful. We love it. We love it. We love talking to guys like Bob Reed, for that matter. Hey, another flight getting ready to depart from Peoria. Give us the detail. When, where, and do you have a plane load?
The flight is September 8th. Then we have another one October 20th and November 17th. The plane is filled. They got it filled here, and now within another 3 weeks or so, they'll be working on the October flight. They usually start contacting the people about 6 weeks out. And actually this time of the year, October, November, a lot of our veterans are heading south for the winter. So it's a coordination of trying to get them the best date for them so that they can head out. And sometimes they have to wait till next spring when they come back.
Yeah. Do you have a waiting list? I've heard there's a waiting list.
Yes, there is. It can be 3 or 4 years. A lot of it depends on the health of the veteran. And those that are in critical care, we push them to the front of the list. We've had veterans who signed them up, and they went to the next flight because of their health was deteriorating so fast.
Yeah. But one of the
And
things
as long as the doctor says they can fly, we take them.
I was going to say, one of the things that you do is you have a medical component, you might say, or a team that is on board the plane to look after the veterans who might be struggling for one reason or another.
That is correct. We have a doctor. We take about 6 nurses, and we take about another 6 combination of paramedics and EMTs. And these young men and women, the EMTs, they are the ones that do a lot of lifting and helping the veterans in and out of the wheelchairs and everything. We also provide oxygen for those who need the oxygen. And those that need insulin, they bring their insulin. We keep it cool. And the buses that we have, the nurses on there, in other words, if we have 6 patients that need oxygen, they're not just put on one bus. They're divided up on the buses there. And the medical team, there's usually one head nurse on each bus, and she knows what veterans need more care. So from time to time, she'll come up and say, when was the last time you checked your sugar level? Or she'll come up and check their gauges, because when we get out there, we have a vehicle come up and bring the oxygen bottles to our bus, and we can refill their oxygen bottles. And usually by late afternoon, we'll top them off. That way they're good to get back to Peoria. All the meals are taken care of ahead of time.
I don't think there's a thing. You don't miss anything, do you? You make sure every veteran is well taken care of. And one of the things that is a part of it is that you want, I guess, does every veteran have a guardian, someone who goes along and pays their own way?
That is correct. Now, we have some veterans that have no family here, or they just do not have the funding. And we will use one of our own people. And how this works, we used to have at one time people who volunteered to be guardians. Well, we came to the conclusion, that's not a good idea, because neither one know one another. But we use people within our own staffing unit, and they say, I'll pay that money so I can go with this veteran. And what they do is they find out who the veteran is, and they will connect with them. They'll go out and have lunch someplace, get to know more about one another. And a lot of times these veterans will make a connection when they come back and maybe go out once a month for a lunch or something. And they stay connected with these veterans.
Gee, that's absolutely terrific. They do have to, what is the fee? The guardians pay, what, $500? Is that what it is?
$500, that is correct. And one of the good things, we were able to filter people that we did not really know anything about. And it became a thing that we have to stick with. We don't know anybody. That's why we have our own people. And to become a guardian within our group, you have to start volunteering. And when you volunteer, you get involved. You start learning how the operations work, what it takes to get involved. Then after a period of time, we know we've got a trust built up in you. Then you can become a guardian for a flight.
You know, one of the things that you do is you make sure that when they come back, they are warmly and lovingly greeted by a huge crowd at the airport. Can you, I know you experienced and saw and knew different things that took place. Have you got a favorite story to tell our listeners about a veteran who, when they came back, was just shed joys of tears, and yet tears of perhaps memories of what they went through during Vietnam or the Korean War or maybe even the World War II?
We had, on the way back home, we have what is called mail call, in which the family is contacted. Actually, it's the job of a guardian. He gets all of his family, has them write letters, and it's sent down to a post office in Tremont, and they sort everything, and they make sure every veteran has mail. And a lot of the grade school kids will write letters of thank you to the veterans. We also have a group of our own people that will sign cards and say thank you. That way they get something. And I've seen on the plane where a gentleman started crying, and his words were, "I did not know my family loved me." And that was very inspiring. So we had another flight where one of our volunteers, he and his wife, and she was very, very much involved. And he would do the other things, but he did not carry on deep conversations. So they talked to his wife, says, "We got to get him on a flight." And he did go on a flight. And he came back, and he's being greeted, and I'm standing there in line, and he says, "Bob, I left my demons at the wall." And he says, I was touching the wall, I was praying, and all my inner feelings of guilt and everything left me. And then afterwards, he became where he would talk to other veterans. He was able to explain to them how much the flight helped him overcome a lot of issues that he had. And then he started talking to his family. He never talked anything to his family, his children, about what he did. He would just clam up. And afterwards, he was able to sit down with his children and grandchildren and explain to them what he had gone through. And it meant a healing point for the family also. We also encourage these veterans, once they come back within a few days of resting up, get the family together. And they all have video equipment. And sit there and let them ask you, and you tell them what you did. Tell them how you met your wife. Tell them what you did afterwards. And so we tell them, you're doing this for your grandchildren. Because somewhere along the line in the next few years, you're going to say, "Oh, what did my grandfather do?" You have a disc then. You can put it in there and tell the kids, this is what your grandfather did. And it's a way for the children to know, hey, their grandfather did something for the country by serving in the military.
The flight does more than just reunite them with memorials, but I think it is in many ways therapeutic for the veterans, especially when you tell the stories that you just did.
Oh, and, we've had veterans who ran into one another, served together, and did not know that they were within 50 miles of one another here in Peoria. So that's been a reconnection over a period of time. We even had brothers that have already gone together. We had one family, I think there was 3 brothers, and I think one sister that served. We were able to put them all on one flight together.
That's neat.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, this is John. I had the honor and pleasure of being a guardian on a couple of honor flights. And this is back when, I don't know if Dr. Vega is still part of your medical team or not, but Dr. Vega recruited me. He's a good friend of our families. We had a couple nurses from Caterpillar on the flight. The first one I went on was a World War II vet. Not a lot of those guys around anymore. We were visiting the memorials there in downtown Washington, and a couple of Marine guys came jogging by, and Harold Berg, Sergeant Berg, stopped them and shook their hands, thanked them for their service, and he said, "What's the name of the barracks that you guys live in the Marine barracks there in D.C.?" And I forgot the name. It was somebody from World War II. And Harold stood up and saluted me and said he was my commanding officer when we charged Iwo Jima. And these guys, I mean, to see these bulky, athletic 20-something, the respect that they paid Harold.
Yes.
If you remember Iwo Jima, 3,000 guys stormed the beaches and 212 came out or something, just ungodly numbers. And he was field decorated and promoted a couple of times because of his stance there. But he was the first, I think, battalion, is that what they called in the Marines? Raiders. That was when the Raiders were established in World War II. And
yes.
Yeah, and he lived on North Bigelow in Peoria. And, I after I came back, I learned so much on that trip. I took him out to Dunlap, where my son was in middle school at the time, and talked to their history class. And here's a World War II vet. They don't even talk about World War II in middle school anymore. No. And he was able to, talk to these kids about his service and everything. And that started kind of an annual thing. I think it kept up until my kids were out of high school, of having these veterans come back and talk to school kids, because you open up the history book in Peoria Public Schools now, and it's like a paragraph on World War II.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and
it's all about the European theater. There's nothing about what happened over in Asia.
Yeah.
That is correct, and this has been brought up. Talked to a lot of different teachers, and like a lot of them said, we actually have to change more of this, because now we're throwing in indigenous Indians, and we're also throwing in we're covering slavery now. So that cuts everything back a little bit further now. She says we don't have the amount of time as we used to. Things have changed so much.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, because so many of the kids grow up feeling guilty on how this country was formed, and the way the Native Americans were treated, and slavery and all that stuff, and we just completely gloss over the reason that we have the freedoms and the rights that we have today is because these guys gave their lives to fight for it. And it's a shameful, but I love the organization, Bob. Continue the good work, and my gosh, if you ever need a last-minute guardian, call me. I'm trained, I've done it. I'm sure I can pass a background test, and it's a tremendous organization, and everything you said is top-notch. I mean, these guys were treated, with the exception of the overdose of sugar when Hy-Vee brings in the 1,000 donuts, and all these guys that are on insulin shouldn't be eating them.
In fact, they're changing their menus a little bit now. It's our medical team has been studying, a lot of our veterans that are diabetic, and they're saying we have to cut back on this and this. Even on the pre-flight dinner night, we got to watch what we're feeding them, because that's going to affect their sugar level early the next morning.
You're going to be in a coma when you pick them up at 3 o'clock.
That is right. That is right. But our medical team is top-notch. In fact, one of the directors of the honor flight now is then General McDonough.
Yes, that's
he
wonderful.
came on board.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful.
Yes, and he is, like, we can call him like the mission director or flight director. He's basically in charge of everything that goes on in D.C. Like, he takes care of the flights. He makes sure the buses are all there, and each bus will have a tour guide on there that will give you a lot of history of different venues out there. And he'll also make sure that all the meals are coordinated. So he's done one heck of a job, and he's on board, and he's always looking. All of our officers out there, they're all prior military, and that is so great. They know what the veterans need, because they are veterans themselves. They know what the veterans' wants are, because a lot of them have been people have been have health issues themselves, so they know how important the medical situation is.
You got it.
So we've got a tremendous team of, if they'll sit around and somebody will bring up something, let's study it, see what's the feasibility of it. That's how in depth they get on this.
Well, God bless you for what you do, Bob, and God bless our veterans, and continued success, my friend.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I've had a good morning talk.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Keep up the good work.
You bet. Have a great day.
All of you.
You bet. Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you. Bye.
You bet. Bob Reed, Air Force veteran and Greater Peoria Honor Flight. What a thrill. We're at the bottom of the hour, and that means times for bring you up to date with our news, as we do every morning on Breakfast with Roger and brought to you by Bob Manning, Senior Vice President, Financial Advisor with the Grandview Capital Group at Morgan Stanley for all your investment needs. Check out Bob Manning. He's available at 309-671-4653. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. Here's Terry with the headlines.
By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes. And we're going to talk about the vote with Peoria Attorney Kevin Sullivan shortly. President Trump signed 2 executive orders restricting birthright citizenship. The president's order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism by seeking to deny them access to the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship, such as children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island by booing newly elected Mayor Zohan Mamdani so loud and so long the communist didn't get a chance to speak after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at Mamdani to, quote, "Get out of here," and "Nobody wants you," plus a few other profane suggestions. He left with his familiar smirk. In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of North Carolina Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius Ivy. The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 School Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made a little over $322,000 last year, while newly appointed Superintendent Dr. Jerry Bell was hired for an annual salary of $255,000. The Assistant Superintendent, Alexander Akajiku, is earning $212 a year. 8 others in 150 administration are paid between $141,000 to $191,000. There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Councilmember Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous. And as we just heard from Bob Reed, the next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is Tuesday, September 8th. We're also happy to announce that retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. General McDonough, former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, has also joined our Tuesday morning crew. And those are the headlines, Roger.
All right, thank you, Terry. Now, a check of the weather brought to you by Morton Community Bank, founded in 1960. It has grown over the years, and today it has 50 branch locations offering personal, business, and agricultural banking with that well-known hometown feeling. Look for the clock tower, and you'll know they have time for you. Member FDIC. John, what do you have for our weather?
Well, today it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 85. Tonight, partly cloudy. Overnight, just a chance of rain, low of about 70. Tomorrow, it's going to be sunny with a high of 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance for showers after midnight, again between 1 and 4 a.m., low of 69 degrees. Sunday morning turns to showers and thunderstorms, then partly sunny with a high of 88. Monday, sunny, high of 91. Currently, 69 degrees.
And there you have it now, our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little-known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Cat owners will tell you that their cats are every bit as communicative as dogs, yet cats are known for being aloof, but those who study cats and their behavior will tell you that cats begin to make sound as soon as they are biologically able. Cats learn quickly which sound to use to get their humans to respond appropriately. When, why, and how cats talk depends on the cat and his personality, the situation, and who he is talking to. Each cat will learn what their humans respond to, and that the same sound means something different to different people. Now, I think that's pretty smart. Some cats talk to you when you come home. They talk when you are feeding them. They talk to their toys. And then there are other cats that would only vocalize under extreme conditions, like when you step on their tail. As to who is teaching who, it's debatable, and cat owners don't care. They like and accept the interaction when it's offered and feel more appreciated when spoken to. Other owners are just happy to have their pets that are there but not needing a lot of attention. If you are thinking of adopting a cat, be sure to spend some time with it beforehand so that you get the right one to fit your lifestyle. Many rescue groups, humane societies, and animal organizations have rooms specifically designed for this kind of one-on-one interaction. These groups are not selling a pet, but rather placing one in a proper, loving, well-matched forever home. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Oh, it's always so much fun listening to Lou Linder and that lovely lady with the pet tip of the day. The only thing I enjoy more is talking with Peoria Defense Attorney Kevin Sullivan. And I say that primarily because he's here. No, I'm kidding, Kevin. Good to see you. Let's start with Rand Paul. I know you've indicated in the past that his attempt to hold Brother Fauci in contempt of Congress, which did happen to, Peter Navarro, and who was the other well-known Republican who served 6 months in prison? Bannon, Steve Bannon, for that matter. And maybe this is a little bit of tit for tat, but what are the chances, because the full Senate did not vote on it because they knew it wouldn't pass, because for the 60-vote threshold, is this going to gain any momentum from the Department of Justice?
Two things on that. Number one, I think you go back and look at how this entire thing came down. We know that Fauci had a blanket pardon that from anything he did from 2014 up until January 19th, 2021, he is essentially immune from in terms of federal prosecution. Now, there's a lot of people that have said, well, wait a second, you've got immunity because of the pardon. You can't invoke the Fifth Amendment. I think it was Senator Blumenthal during the hearing the other day that said, well, he was always in fear of, jeopardizing himself, which was almost a tacit admission that Fauci was going to perjure himself if he testified, which that immunity does not cover that no matter what the case is. Perjury, that is, going forward. Right after the hearing about a week ago, 3 states' attorneys general opened up criminal investigations into Fauci's conduct during the relevant time of COVID and in his activities, his solicitation, the money he's made, the people he injured, the businesses he blighted, et cetera, et cetera. Whether those investigations go anywhere is a matter of time. We won't know for a while. But I think that, I do believe that the courts, when you are invoking a constitutional right that's been around since, well, it's the Bill of Rights, been around since 1789, the courts tend to be very liberal in how they apply that, and they try not to, they're reluctant to deny somebody the ability to take the Fifth Amendment. And so it's a bunch of competing interests. But I agree with Professor Turley. He thinks that the equities are going to lie on the side of Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Fauci probably will not be successfully prosecuted or sentenced. And I tend to agree with that for a number of reasons. I would, at this point, the other thing too is I tried to find out, and I'm not exactly certain how it happened, but according to Senator Rand Paul, he said that their committee has the authority to make a direct referral to the Justice Department. And I don't know how you circumvent the entire Senate, because usually the committees answer to the full body. It's whether you're at the Peoria City Council level, and let's say you're on the zoning board. You're making a recommendation that goes to the full council. The full council decides, because they're where the buck stops. They're the elected officials, supposedly most accountable. This situation, I think it's the same thing. So if Fauci gets prosecuted, and I'm defending him in court for contempt, first thing I'm going to do is move to dismiss that prosecution, because the Senate did not exhaust all of their internal remedies, and that is send it to the full Senate, see what they decide, then if they vote in favor of contempt, then send it back to justice. That eliminates that defense. I just don't see I don't see them getting over that hurdle. I think that's going to be a problem. One of the other problems is, depending on procedurally how this works itself out, is did Fauci waive his right under the Fifth Amendment by giving the opening statement? And typically, the courts have interpreted that by saying, if you have testified or talked on certain topics or subtopics, then decide to invoke your Fifth Amendment right, let's say midstream, you are subject to being questioned about that which you already opened up. You opened up the door, so to speak, on that. And when he said that this was basically a witch hunt, Senator Paul wants me in jail because he doesn't like me, et cetera, et cetera. He wants me behind bars. He went on about that. He kind of opened up Pandora's box, so to speak, in my opinion. And I think that the senators should have been able to question him about what he meant by that. Did you do anything to justify Senator Paul feeling this way about you or saying what he said about you? So I think that may be an issue if it does make it as far as the courts. But it'll be interesting to see what the Justice Department, how they handle this. And so I heard something last night, kind of other interesting things last night, that this is being referred directly to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. That's Jeanine Pirro. And now, because her and Trump had a tiff,
they had a tit for
maybe
tat.
she's going to kind of redeem it by going after him and making Trump happy. I think they ought to drop the whole thing. I think if they want to make some hay out of it, Dr. Fauci could win in the court of law, but he's lost in the court of public opinion. It's going to be interesting. I just hate to see him spend time and money on this when I don't think the outcome's going to make, one hell of a bit of difference.
Yeah. Two things, given what you just said. Could not Rand Paul or any Republican, when Fauci was making his opening statement, interrupting him and said, now, wait a minute, you can't say that. Dr. Fauci, and I want you to explain what you just said. Could they have done that?
No, they
And
couldn't have.
you know what? I don't think he would have known. I think he would have turned to his attorneys, all 3 or 6 of them behind him, and said, "What the hell do I do now?"
Well, they
Could have done that, couldn't they?
They could have done that, but in my opinion, by letting him go on and on and on as he did with his prepared statement, I think that by letting him go, opened up the door even wider, so to speak, for a claim of let somebody keep talking. So maybe they'll mention this, maybe they'll mention this. We can now fashion our questions based upon what he just said. And so I think there's going to be, if it gets as far as the court system, and when it gets there, I think it's going to be a tutorial on the Fifth Amendment that probably is much needed in this country, because there's a lot of confusion as to how the Fifth Amendment is applied and how much protection it actually provides a person that is potential legal jeopardy.
Yeah.
So I listened to one of the YouTube's best attorneys, who actually is pretty attractive too, Megan Kelly, and she has a bunch of attorneys that hone in on this. A couple days ago she was talking about it, and the conclusion I got from that was that the committee or any individual senator can make a general referral to the Department of Justice. The statute requires full Senate approval, as you said. The buck has to stop there. And then it's up to the Department of Justice if they want to take a general inquiry, a referral, and prosecute. If there's a preponderance of evidence, they can do it. Historically, that's not happened, but it's an area where they say, hey, if you've got a favorable Department of Justice and you got enough stuff on him, maybe they'll look at it. And then this U.S. Attorney referral is another one there. So it's as typical with this administration, they're expanding the boundaries to see what they can do. And I love what you said. He may win in court, but boy, is he going to get bashed.
Well, and they're comparing this to the Lois Lerner case, the IRS executive years ago, and she was referred by the House to be prosecuted by Justice, and the Department of Justice declined to do that. But it was under President Obama's Justice Department, not under President Trump. So, I think, I don't know. I think if I was the Attorney General, or if I was Prosecutor Janine Pirro, or maybe even the President, I would give it a good and hard look about whether we should do this, because if they do, number one, it's going to look like pure retribution of political prosecution, and they may end up with egg on their face. And instead, excoriate him further in the media, close the chapter, move on, and there's bigger things, I think, to do at this point. But
make him sweat a little bit.
Yeah. On the other hand, there are many, and I'm one of those, Mr. Consular, that believes because of what he did, were almost dictatorial powers. He set education back, by some accounts, 2 to 2.5 years academically, and created a number of people who lose their jobs, including military veterans, because they didn't take the shots. Shouldn't he be held to some level of accountability, some way, somehow?
Well, I think he has been, again, in the court of public opinion. But, no, I agree with you. And at the same time that he was telling people to stay 6 feet away, recommending we close these schools, do this, people, there's over 1 million people that died, and then at the same time, he's running a small operation off the other side of the desk, this gain of function situation, which, as it was explained to me the other day, I didn't really quite understand it. You manufacture, which I think everybody now believes, that the COVID virus was manufactured in a lab in Wuhan, China. And I had my own theories about this up until I talked to a local doctor the other day at lunch. But the gain of function is, well, let's create this, let's fund and create this virus, and then we'll be forced to create the vaccine for the virus. And we're going to make a fortune off that, at the same time. So, he's, as they said last night, Fauci's worth north of $12 million, lives in a $2.5 million house in Georgetown, and situated pretty well for working for the government. And I think the only higher paid employee of the government might be one of the military football coaches, like Air Force, Navy, or Army, but much higher than the president, higher than the leadership in Congress, what have you. So higher than the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the United States. So, it is going to be interesting. I have a feeling Trump's going to go after him with two barrels, and because that's Trump's nature, and again, deride him along the way. And I think, Fauci's what? He's 84 years old. He's financially set. Other than the inconvenience of what he's having to go through or maybe see himself on TV, being either supported or criticized, he probably at this point doesn't care.
Up to a certain point, I think he might have some sleepless nights worrying that somehow, some way, there might be some action legally that would put him into jeopardy. But I understand the reasoning to move on and get on with it. But that's what Trump was saying for 4 years over the Russian collusion with Adam Schiff, saying, I have evidence of collusion. And he never was asked, well, show us what do you have, Adam?
That's right. Russia. And, and you talk about the Democrats don't want to give up on January 6th, 2021. Okay, obviously a bad day for America. But the number of injuries, and I think there was 1 or 2 deaths that day. One was from a guy, I think security, that had a heart attack. Okay, so a little indirect. But
so that was Trump's fault. That
well,
guy had
they won't let that go. And here we're talking over 1 million deaths, that probably many of which could have been avoided. So, no, there's definitely an interest, and I think rightfully so. I just think that at the end of the day, there's not going to be a lot of satisfaction.
Well, that's probably right. Let's talk about the latest executive orders from the President of the United States regarding birthright citizenship. I read the story, and Terry read the story. I have no idea what I read. Can you help me out?
Well, I think we're doing a little bit more of the same. I did hear Professor Turley say that he believes Trump has the authority to, and he's on fairly solid ground at this point. But as what I was reading from Professor Turley, the question is, does the 14th Amendment afford citizenship to anyone born on our soil, regardless of their status? And the 14th Amendment includes the 6 words, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And that apparently has not been that well defined in the Supreme Court. And I think one of the purposes of the executive order is to maybe hone in on what does subject to the jurisdiction mean. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. There's been ever since the 1800s, they've debated what does that mean. Now, keep in mind the purpose. This is the 150th anniversary of that amendment, and the purpose of that amendment was to essentially patriate, or sometimes they say repatriate, but patriate the slaves after they were freed. They weren't citizens because they were from other countries. They really didn't have any rights. They really didn't have any basis. They didn't have any homestead, what have you. So the purpose was essentially to include them as citizens now that they had a higher status in life after they were emancipated. But you look at, as I see it, at that point, they were here. I'm not saying they were rightly here, but they were legally here because they were accounted for, and they were doing what they were doing, right or wrong. But the government knew about them. The government knew they were here, and so therefore, they were clearly subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. But now you've got people running around this country, maybe somebody coming into this country for a long weekend, and China especially, from China, and giving birth in, let's say, a West Coast hospital. You get a birth certificate, next thing you know, you get your Social Security card. Next thing you know, 18 years from now, you're going to get a voter card to vote, and 7.5% of the births in this country are from undocumented illegal aliens.
Almost 8%.
Yeah, so
Wow.
that's a lot. I mean, you think about those percentages, and that's a lot of people, and that become American citizens from having done nothing on their own. It says here that going back to 1898, the Supreme Court ruled 6-2. The 14th Amendment affirms the ancient and fundamental rule of citizenship by birth within our territory, including all children here born of resident aliens. You know, and then there's been other legislation that's been put forth and enacted that kind of watered that down a little bit. And the question now becomes, are undocumented immigrants subject to our jurisdiction? And that's an interesting question because, you know, I'm subject to jurisdiction, you're subject to jurisdiction. You know, we have, I mean, we're born here, we've lived here, we have Social Security cards, we are automatically natural citizens. We have driver's licenses, voter ID card, or voter cards, not ID yet, but, we have in a number of indicia of, obligations to the government, and the government owes us certain obligations. But these people that are running around, let's say they're panhandling, let's say they're stealing, let's say they're in custody under a foreign name, are they really subject to the jurisdiction of this country? And perhaps they ought to have a way that they could subject them to the jurisdiction of this country by some sort of registration process. I don't know.
But what you're
If they
saying
came in
is,
legally, they would be registered.
If they came in legally. But now that they're here, but I think the idea of what, and I've been hearing about this over the last several months, Trump said, and it was early on in his second term, if you're here illegally, self-deport, announce it, we will give you a flight, we'll give you money to go home, and if you then want to come in the legal way, we'll take you to the top of the line. And many people have had that happen, where they were prioritized
Really?
and are now legal residents. And I've talked about a couple times that I've had the privilege of attending the naturalization ceremonies that the federal court puts on quarterly or semi-annually, whatever. And you see, a melting pot of people from every corner of the earth. You
Bust their butts to get in that room.
They did, and they took the test. They studied. They, came over here on a visa. They probably had a work visa. They found a place to live, support their family, and they are now the proudest Americans you can ever imagine. They are in tears. They are hugging each other. They're hugging the judge who swore them in, and it just is what a moving experience. And that's how it should be. That's how it absolutely should be. I don't think we're going to turn away any person that wants to become a citizen, but we've got to account for them, and we've got to make sure we have active jurisdiction over them. So this is what this executive order is going to do. It's going to force the Supreme Court again, and it's going to work its way through the lower courts to probably then from the lower court directly to the Supreme Court to revisit this issue. And you never know by the time this gets to the Supreme Court and they decide it, we don't know, are there going to be justices on the Supreme Court? They're going to rethink maybe the birthright issue at this point. Are we, by any chance, going to have a different judge or two up in the Supreme Court, depending on timing? It's just hard to say what's going to happen. And it was 6-3 on June 30th in the case of Trump versus Barbara, 6-3 in favor of the birthright citizenship. You're born here, you are a citizen. Who's to say that couldn't change 5-4 the other way? So it's going to be interesting. Stay tuned. This one will be litigated, and I think it should be resolved so people do know.
Whether you like or dislike the president, I think what he wants to do is finalize this, and this is one way that he can, I think, feel like he's trying to make what is a mess into something that we can be proud of, and that is go through, as you were suggesting, John, the right process. And that's the right way to do it, rather than cross the border in the dark of the night and wander around trying to find a job or steal or kill somebody.
That's absolutely right. And, and these people that do commit crimes, you almost wonder if there's a certain portion of them that do it intentionally, so that way they do get 3 hots in a cot, after they get arrested.
That's a good
point. And that's
point.
one way of surviving in this country. And frankly, perhaps one of our jails or prisons is nicer than, where they were living,
from.
Depending upon where that venue is. So stay tuned. We're in for a lot of court coming up.
One final story, and I don't think we talked about it. If we did, I forgot, but it bears repeating anyway. We have seen one of Peoria and Peoria County's finer judges stepped down and retired, and that's our good friend Steve Corey. Do you have any stories about Steve that you can share with us from the bench that will continue to have pleasant memories about Steve, who happened to be a former neighbor, and he got tired of living near me and he moved away?
Well, now
I understand that.
Now that he's not on the bench, I can tell a lot of stories about Steve. No, I'm kidding. You know, he was all business in the courtroom, rightfully so. If he did not know the answer, Steve would find the answer through the right channels. He had, at times, a very dry sense of humor, somewhat, not quite as obvious, maybe a little more subtle than Bob Manning. But he, so I think he served the 10th Circuit very well. I think he was very well respected. And, you know, I think wish him well. He 24 years of service. You know, judges max out on their pension at 20 years. So he essentially worked 4 years beyond that. I did hear him say he was torn about retiring. Was he going to stay or go? And he said it's time to go. I hope his health is good, and I hope he enjoys his retirement. Steve's not that old, and I think he's got a lot of time to go. There's some talk that his son is interested in his position, and may seek to run for election for it. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. That's just a rumor, but you know, I tell you, I think Steve was probably the most senior, seasoned, oldest judge in the 10th Circuit.
Oh, you're kidding. I always thought he looked like a kid.
Well, you know, but I think, I'm not going to speculate. Steve's older than I am, but not by much. But, you know, now we've got a lot of younger judges.
Well, maybe he can run for state's attorney because there's another pension out there.
Well,
that I wouldn't have told. But at any rate, as always, Kevin, good to see you this morning.
That was a slam at another, Kevin.
Yeah.
Understood.
Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it. Thank you.
You bet. Kevin Sullivan, Peoria Turner.
Good to see you.
We continue on Breakfast with Roger and Friends on WAZU, FM 90.7 in Peoria. Also on YouTube at Roger and Friends LS. Stay tuned. More coming your way, including Mr. Weather, Kyle Varnold. So stay tuned. Good morning, everybody. It is a good morning. It is the 7th day of August. It's a Friday all day long. And we begin our news block with a check of the weather. And it's brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, bridging the gap between hospital and home. And they do it with skilled nurses, therapists, and personal care assistants. You know, these fine folks have been around helping people in their homes since 1993. Quality care by quality healthcare professionals, and they're available 24/7 to take care of your loved one. You can reach them at 309-245-0723. John, you have the weather.
Good morning, Roger and friends. Today it's going
sounds
to be
like
partly
Kyle
sunny.
all of a sudden.
High of 85, not 84, not 86. It'll be 85. Tonight, partly cloudy overnight, low, just a chance of rain, about 13% in the outlying areas, 14% in the city. And tomorrow's going to be sunny, high of 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance of showers after midnight, low of 69. Sunday morning, showers and thunderstorms, are upon us, then partly sunny with a high of 88. Monday, it will be sunny with a high of 91. Currently, It is 70 degrees at the radio station.
Yes, and it's going to be a gorgeous day. We love August for that matter. Now we get into the news brought to you by Matt Wall, certified public accountant, tax specialist with Gordon Stockman Wall. He's a graduate of Bradley University, also DePaul in Chicago. Matt provides a broad range of accounting, auditing, management consulting, and income tax planning. Matt Wall, available at 309-692-4030. With our lead story, Terry Chamberlain on tap.
Well, thank you. By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes.
And it didn't happen. As we just heard, President Trump, meanwhile, signed 2 executive orders restricting birthright citizenship. The president's order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism by seeking to deny them access to even coming into the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship, and gave an example: children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. They don't belong here.
More good news for Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. He's been released from a rehab center and is now home, recovering from injuries he suffered from a fall June 14th. The 84-year-old McConnell hopes to return to the Senate following weeks of home physical therapy.
In other news, New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island, and they did it by booing newly elected Mayor Zohran Mamdani so loud and so long the commie didn't get a chance to speak much after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at the mayor to get out of here, and nobody wants you, plus a few other profane suggestions. He left with a big, maybe as you described it, smug smile on his communist face.
Mm-hmm. In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of North Carolina Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius Ivy.
The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 School Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made a little over $322,000 last year, while the newly appointed superintendent, Dr. Jerry Bell, was hired for an annual salary of $255,000 a year. The assistant superintendent, Alexander Ike, is earning $212,000 a year, and 8 others in administration for Peoria School District paid between $141,000 to $191,000 a year. Pretty good salaries.
There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Council member Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous.
And the next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is Tuesday, September 8th. Air Force veteran Bob Reed joined us this morning, gave us some of the details. We're also happy to announce retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. McDonough, former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, also joining us every Tuesday morning as part of our show, and we look forward to it. And we also look forward to news from WCBU.
From the WCBU newsroom, I'm Colleen Holden. As the November election approaches, some Peoria organizations are pushing to get more people involved in voting, particularly on the South Side. The local NAACP and League of Women Voters will hold a Voting Rights Day of Action on Saturday at the Peoria Public Library's Lincoln Branch. Pastor Marvin Hightower is the NAACP Peoria president.
It's a responsibility that we have as citizens of this country. That's the theme.
Chris Kergard of the League of Women Voters notes the South Side has the city's lowest voter registration and the lowest election turnout. East Peoria leaders have approved a salary increase for a full-time mayor who also acts as the city's chief executive. The raise to an annual base salary of about $128,000 does not apply specifically to current mayor John Call, but Commissioner Mike Sullivan believes Call has excelled in handling both roles for the last 7 years.
Take a look at our past city administrators that we've hired, and they haven't turned out so well. This one's turning out pretty good for all of us.
The salary increase would go to whoever is elected mayor next April. Illinois Republicans are hitting Governor J.B. Pritzker for not condemning House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch's handling of a sexual harassment case. Pritzker is not calling on Welch to resign after a legislative watchdog revealed he knew of sexual harassment allegations against a lawmaker 3 years ago before more cases emerged. House Minority Leader Tony McCombie wants Welch to resign and says Pritzker should make a similar call.
People are worried about their futures, their safety, and this is the culture that we have to end.
McCombie says this is, quote, not a House problem, it's a Welch problem. And Washington is seeking public input on plans to create the city's first business development district. A public hearing is set for September 8th pending City Council approval later this month to gather opinions on the economic development tool. If the district is approved, a 0.25% sales tax would be added to most purchases from retailers within its boundaries. Revenue from the sales tax could be used within the district for items like public infrastructure improvements and new building construction. I'm Colleen Holden.
Okay, Colin, let's get into sports. John Disharoon with the latest. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Roger and friends. Football is officially back. Not only did the local high schools hit the practice pad this week, but the NFL preseason opened last night with a Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, featuring the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. Now, while most of the established starters sat out, the spotlight was on young quarterbacks and players fighting for roster spots. Carolina eked out a 33-30 win on a time-expiring touchdown drive, capping a high-scoring game that witnessed 13 lead changes. Exciting football on a Thursday night in central Illinois. Over in Major League Baseball, Pete Crow Armstrong, get used to that name, scored on a throwing error in the 11th inning after Alex Bregman hit a two-strike, two-out homer in the ninth, and the Chicago Cubs rallied for a 3-2 win over the Toronto Blue Jays. Crow Armstrong singled, leading off the 11th against Brendan Little, who's 0-3, but automatic runner Carson Kelly, the catcher, was thrown out at the plate. The MVP candidate then tried to steal third, and Blue Jays catcher Brandon Valenzuela overthrew third base. Overthrow third baseman Josh Smith, allowing Crow Armstrong to dash home. He took off his helmet before touching the plate and tossed it into the protective netting before being mobbed by teammates. It was the 11th walk-off win for Chicago this season, which is in position for the first NFL wild card. The Southside Sox took a beating in Boston. Caleb Durbin lined a single to center field off Chicago's Eric Fetty in the 13th inning to score. Nick Sogard and the Boston Red Sox rallied to beat the Chicago White Sox 12-11. Last night in a game that lasted more than 4 hours. You know, they put this pitch clock in to speed up the games. And if you play 13
And it
innings...
isn't working, is it?
Well, I mean, most games, yeah, but when you go into extra innings, I mean, 4 hours is a long time to play baseball.
Yeah.
Connor Wong had a 2-run home run. Anthony Siegler added 3 RBI and scored a run. Willier Abreu had 2 RBI, including 1 to tie the game in the ninth. Andrew Monasterio also added 2 RBI doubles. Brian Bello, 4 and 6. The last of 9 Red Sox pitchers worked 2 innings for the victory. Fetty, 6 and 7, was the last of 8 Chicago pitchers. Roger, how many pitchers do you think they have on the roster?
I would say 12.
I mean,
I
8
don't know.
pitchers
That's,
in 13 innings. That's crazy. When's the last time a guy pitched a complete game? Anybody know?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it was 1948.
My gosh, it's been a while ago. They, pitchers.
They used to. Now, if they get 5 2/3 and they're ahead, they will be credited with the win.
It's a complete game.
Yeah, as 5 2/3, and you're happy if the starting pitcher lasts that long.
And I wanted to look at AI before I started this, but I didn't. There was a pitcher I heard on one of the sports shows, flipping through the radio, who had 10 wins and threw 40 pitches. He came in to get strikeouts, throw 2 pitches, get this guy out, and then they pulled him. But they held their score and he got the win. So think of that. I mean, he's their ace that comes in and throws 2 or 3 pitches a game, but gets the win because he holds them off.
Because he was there when they went ahead of us. That's the idea. Yeah.
So gets the save or whatever. Dustin May won his Milwaukee debut, and Jackson Churio and Gary Sanchez hit home runs as the Brewers defeated the struggling Pittsburgh Pirates 5-2. After losing the opener, the Brewers won the final 3 games in the series. Other scores in Major League Baseball: the Angels defeated the Orioles 4-1, the Reds 6-5 over the Athletics, the Mets 13-6 over the Guardians. We had the Tigers blanking the Mariners 11-0, and the Phillies beat the Nationals 7-3. The Braves beat the Marlins 11-3, and the Twins lasted the Royals 4-3. So we got NFL football coming up. I think I got to check here, but I believe the Packers are playing in September, and because that's what I care about. So let me check and see what they say.
But then
You're a Green Bay Packer fan, aren't you?
Packers and the Steelers, Thursday, August 13th. That's next week, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Thursday Night Football on NFL Net, the Packers and the Steelers. Stay tuned. And you know what? Bart Rogers showed up to preseason camp with the Steelers.
Yeah, he had a few things to say
about Dr. Fauci.
About Dr. Fauci, didn't he?
Everybody gave him grief for not taking the shot. And
mean,
look,
Aaron?
he's
And he
alive.
did.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers.
You said Bart Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
Bart Rogers
Wait a
is
minute,
with the
I don't know that
Bart
one.
Rogers is with the Rivermen, and Aaron Rodgers.
And Bart Starr, the quarterback in the
Hey, you know what? I just looked it up. I'm shocked and I'm surprised and dismayed. The last pitcher to throw a complete game in the major leagues was a guy by the name of Kyle Freeland of the Colorado Rockies, who went the distance against Kansas City August 2nd this year.
And nobody heard about it.
Nobody.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That is something.
Roger with the win.
Roger with a win. Well, no.
My gosh,
Kyle
that was,
Freeland
5 days
did
ago?
the job.
Yeah.
Just,
If you had a better sports reporter, he'd know that.
yeah, well, no, I will tell you, who knew? Who knew?
Is that a new Walmart line that they've got that guy and like, who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
Did you look that up on AI?
Yes. mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, they're always right.
You need a data center.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, hoo, hoo.
Generate that.
Welcome to hour number 3.
That was it 69?
Well, we have Kyle Varnold, our weather guy, coming in this morning. Otherwise, I would start this portion of our program with this day in history. But I know Kyle likes to
He likes to do those
participate,
with us,
so
yes.
I don't want to shut him out. I do want to tell you that this portion of our program brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of Home Smart. She's showing another condo, and this one is in Morton. It's a 2-bedroom home with a fabulous open concept, including newer luxury vinyl flooring, pleasantly designed kitchen and dining area, and more in a great neighborhood. The price on this condo is less than renting. You can get details from Kathy today at 309-696-2162. And we talked about the other condo in a great location with a beautiful view of the countryside. And you get details on that condo at 309-696-2162. You know, it's always a pleasure and an honor and very educational when Attorney Kevin Sullivan comes in. He is so knowledgeable, and I don't know about the two of you. I don't like to read. I couldn't make it as an attorney. And he brought in material that he looked up, and he had his yellow marker and so forth. So this guy probably spends 90% of his free time, which is not free, reading. You know, reading about other cases, reading about other decisions, and reading about laws and so forth. You can't do anything in law without reading.
That's very true. When I started at Century up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, back in 1981, I worked for 2 of the attorneys in the legal department. And Tom was starting to train me sometimes to do some of his research. And so I go down the library, and you've got walls of the West Law Library, and how you look something up, then cross-reference, then you go get another one, and look all this stuff up. And I'm like, I'm sorry, this is why I chose to be an accountant, I found it extremely boring and very tedious.
Well, and
but
that's why
some
I don't
people
read.
just, some people just thrive on research, and thank goodness Kevin does, and he can.
Are you a reader? I know, John, do you do a lot of reading, or
I
do
used
you
to-
do a lot of listening?
I used to read quite a bit, but now I listen because it's so much easier to just on these long
It's
drives.
easier to listen to other people reading.
Well, and if you're driving 14 hours, you can't really read, but I can get a couple of books in and catch up on my world history. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy history and I enjoy legal precedent, and I tell you what, if I ever get in trouble, call Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, there's
for
no
me.
question about that. You're right. Here's something else too, and I was dead wrong with all the growth and development of the internet and the information, and I saw a legal case. I like to watch some of these judicial entertainment trials on television, and it is amazing how many people get their information off the internet. And they had a case where these were two college students arguing over something or another, and what happened, and one of the students had his mother with him, or with her, I think it was a daughter, and she had gotten her entire term paper, word for word, off the internet. And her roommate got in a dispute and reported her to the university, and the student was suspended for lying, cheating, or whatever you want to call it. And she was suing the girl who ratted on her to pay a certain amount of money because it cost some money to re-enroll and re-register for the class that she got an F in. And it also raised the question, I don't know how you feel about that, but it also raised the question that I asked myself a couple of years ago with the growth and development of the internet, that when I was a kid and I had to do a term paper or a paper, I went to the library and did research. You don't have to go to the library now. You can actually, you can have it written for you, as a matter of fact. And I thought that would lead to the demise of libraries. It hasn't. But I will ask both of you, to put you on the spot, when was the last time you went to a library?
About a month, well, maybe 2 months now.
Okay, what did you go for?
There's a series of books that my friend and I are reading, and he has two of they're called prequels. I did not have them in my set of books, and I thought, I don't really need more books, so I went to the library and took out those two so I could read them and get caught up. But when Mom was alive, I'd go to the library every couple of days, and she couldn't read anymore because of her eyes, but she could listen, so I'd get her audio books on the CD, and we went through all the mysteries they had on CDs. And they have a variety of DVDs, so if you don't want to buy something, go check it out
And listen to it.
or watch the movies and that. They used to have albums. I don't know if they still have true albums that you could rent, but check out.
What format? 33 and a third?
Yeah. I mean,
Really?
true
So you have
true
a
vinyl
33 and a
albums.
third player?
Yes, I
You
do.
do?
I do still have one.
I have one that's still in a box. I needed to get it out because I have a 33 and a third album of humor by Jonathan Winters. And if I pull that out with the help of Dr. Sidler and those things electronic that I don't, and set it up in the studio, I can play some absolutely hilarious short skits by Jonathan Winters. When was the last time you went to the library, John?
So I, just a couple of weeks ago, I returned a book for Karen, who still checks out books at the library. And
Interesting.
paid my $1.10 fine because
You were late?
I was not late.
She was
I
late.
was not informed
Yeah.
the book had to go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, Karen still uses the library. And interestingly enough, if you have a Dunlap library card, you can use the Peoria Public Library, and if you have a Canton library card, you can use the Lewiston library.
So they do have reciprocal agreements.
Yeah.
That's neat.
But I tell you, I was one of maybe 3 people there, and the other 2 were workers.
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing that there's justification for at least large libraries because one time, many years ago, I went in, I saw, I would call them homeless people in the library. I guess it's a good place to go in and warm. I don't know whether or not, I'm going to assume they have a security guard at the downtown library simply because of its location.
You have to show an ID to get in now.
Street to the riverfront.
That was
The
horrible.
location is terrible, and I'm sure they got it for a song, but it's not centrally located, which is, and you know, they had individual windows if you wanted airmail stamps or send a package by airmail. You had separate windows. Now
And
you
that
line
beautiful
up.
ornate building.
Oh, and you
yes.
walk on the
Tile
tile
floor?
floors.
I thought they were marble or granite, but
Well, whatever it was, you could hear somebody come in from the Hamilton
Oh,
side
yes.
when you're on the Main Street side
Click,
of the
clock,
airport.
click, clock,
Yeah,
click,
Yep.
yeah. And Christmas time was a wonderful time for going to the mail office on Monroe Street. And they claimed that it outgrew the building and they needed a new building downtown. And I have to tell you, I've not been in that building for years. Part of the reason I live in Morton, so they have a station in Morton. They have one in Groveland. They have one in Mossville, and that might be one of the reasons why the post office continues to lose millions. What is it? 83 cents now for a stamp?
yes.
I tell you what,
83 cents.
Roger, I went to mail an overnight letter at the post office, and it used to be anything you put in the package for $14, you go overnight. Well, now that's $29, and it's not overnight. So I went to the Cuba post office, and she goes, it was on a Monday, and she goes, it'll get there next Monday. I said, but it's first class guaranteed, and she's like, no, they cut our truck. The truck won't go out till Thursday. And I'm like, okay, what if I take it to Canton? She goes, well, Canton, it'll probably get there on Friday. And so I go to Canton, and she goes, yep, it'll be next Monday. And I said, well, why? And she goes, well, they cut our truck, and so it won't go out until Thursday. And I'm like, you get mail every day, and it goes out every day. It waits. I said, what if I go to Peoria? And she goes, well, then it might get there Thursday. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive to Peoria. So I paid $29, and it ended up getting there on Saturday. So Monday to Saturday for $29. I called UPS. I said, you still have an overnight letter? They said, yep, $34. I said, from Peoria to Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. I was mailing some stuff down to our neighbors. And I just, it was important, but I just wanted to make sure they got it. So I
Right.
wanted registered,
Sure.
return receipt. And she goes, yeah, $34. I said, so if I mail it today, won't it get there? And she goes, by noon tomorrow. So UPS can get it there
Yeah.
overnight.
Yeah,
And the Postal Service, overnight or whatever they call it now, priority delivery,
yeah.
7 days because they cut the trucks back. And I was like, if I'd have known that, I'd have paid the $5. I was in Peoria anyway. I should have done that. But yeah, and then the stamps go up to 87 cents. And I may have told you this before. I got a letter. I paid our Fulton County property taxes last year, and I got a letter saying that I owed $400 for late fees or whatever. And I mailed it before we went back to Florida. And I actually went into the post office and they canceled it. So I know that it was mailed 2 weeks early. And so I get this letter, and I called and I said, hey, I know I paid that. You haven't cashed the check, but I sent it. And she's like, no, we didn't get it. You got to pay it, and the interest accumulates, goes all the way back, so you're going to owe another $70 if we don't get it. I said, okay, I'll send you a check, but if my other one comes in, I want a refund. And she's like, okay. So I overnight a check to them to stop the interest payment because I hate paying interest. And so I mailed it on like August 23rd of 2025, and I get a phone call on October 30th that they received my check. It had to go from Cuba to Lewiston.
Yeah, it's Cuba, Illinois.
Cuba
Yeah.
to Lewiston, which is about 9 miles. And it took 8 weeks.
That's unbelievable.
So it must have gone from Peoria to Chicago to Macomb to St. Louis to Washington, D.C. to Tallahassee, to Macomb, to Peoria. I mean, incredible. And she said the envelope was canceled on the 23rd, so they saw that it was there. But starting this year, same with the IRS, the postal cancellation no longer counts as a date. They have to receive it by the day.
And you know what? One of my insurance carriers says that clearly, must be received, please mail 5 days before date required. In other words, it's a clarifier saying we're familiar with the fact that the U.S. Postal Service sucks today, so we're warning you, get it in the mail earlier. I'll give you an example locally. I mailed a check to someone that provides a service for this station last week. And I'm going to say I think it was a Thursday. And every day this week, the recipient would call and leave a message if I didn't answer the phone. I didn't get a check. Next day, I didn't get a check. That's about all he said. So I finally said, and it was growing concerns about my financial viability and reliability. So I said, I'll tell you what, since I pay you monthly, I'm going to bring over a check for the month of August this month. That isn't due. I normally don't pay until the end of the month. I'm going to bring it over for August. And when you get the check that was due in July, call and let me know. Well, I got a call, but no message was left. So I'm assuming that, and I told him, I said, I hand delivered it to his place of residence to make sure that he got it. Nobody got it. I hand delivered it, and I said, call me when you get to July so I'll know. Now, I could find out with a phone call to the bank and say, can you tell me? But I don't know how long it'll take him to cash it. But that's ridiculous. So here's a question I have. There is a station in Tremont where I have mailed letters to someone who lives in Tremont. I would like to know whether or not the postmaster in Tremont goes through the letters that they have that come in at the station or in their box outside the station and say, you know what, here's 4 letters that are mailed in Tremont to people in Tremont. Do they take them out and say, we'll deliver them, or do they have to throw them in a bag that goes to Champaign, to Chicago, and then back to wherever for distribution?
Clearly, they don't pull them out, or my check would have made it to Lewiston.
Yeah. Now,
See, now that's ludicrous.
It is
That's
ludicrous.
absolutely ridiculous because these people are intelligent. The system needs rehabbing.
And
They
if you-
need to do a renovation or an audit of because the mail service keeps going up. They keep losing more money, so they raise the price to help
but the
offset
services
it.
keep going down.
Yeah, right.
And Roger, I didn't make up those towns. I was tracking a package that somebody shipped me from UPS, and they sent the tracking number on it, and it came to Peoria, and it went to Macomb, and then it went to Galesburg, and then it went to Kansas City, and then it went to Chicago, and then it went to Washington, D.C., and then it sat in St. Louis. And it's like, I don't know if they're misreading the barcode, but it put more miles on than my truck to get to me from Washington, D.C., and it ended up back in D.C. and rerouted back out. But you can follow the tracking. And I think I posted at the time. It's probably in my history on Facebook. And I'm like, who's running this show?
Well,
Good question.
there's a story that my mom's cousin ran into in Oklahoma, and she used the postal service quite often, and they kept getting this package was wrongly delivered. And so she went in for the 4th time, and she goes, look, here, it's clearly this marked blah, blah, blah. And the person said, well, they don't have to read to work at the post office. And Trisha's like, what? Would you repeat that, please? And the guy said, well, yeah, you don't have to know how to read to work for the post office. And she goes, how can that be? And they said, well, we've got all the automated stuff. That's why the barcodes, and that's why they prefer you to print things, because the readers can read that. You don't have and she thought he was being facetious,
Oh,
you know,
my
just being
goodness.
joking. And she said, "Oh, you're kidding, right?" And she goes, "No, I'm not."
Crazy. You know what? Go ahead.
Well, it's just I took a civil service test back in 1980 to work for the census. They were wanting people to go around and go house to house for some people that didn't respond. And that was part of the deal. Could you read an address? And you know, you had on the test, you had to proofread this, and can you read the correct numbers and blah 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 blah. So when now 46 years later, and they're saying, well, you don't have to know how to read or work at the post office. When did that change?
Yeah, good question. You know, whenever you suggested people start having seizures, but it's time for government to consider privatizing mail service and let private enterprise see if they can do a better job. They have to do something because you can't keep raising the prices. You know, I like sending out Christmas cards every year, and at 83 cents a stamp, a card, that can be quite expensive.
That's getting into your poker run.
Yeah, it's getting into a lot of things, and but there's no calls to for people to say, you know, we need to take a look at this department. At any rate, we need to take a final look at the news that we are following this morning. And we'll start with a check of the news with Terry, brought to you by Spoon River Home Health, making a difference in the lives of the people they serve since 1993. And they do it with a wide range of home health care services, from skilled nursing to bathing and personal care. Your choice matters at Spoon River, and you can make those choices by calling the fine folks at 309-245-0723. Here's Terry.
By a vote of 8-7, members of the Senate's Homeland Security Committee requested the Justice Department consider holding Dr. Anthony Fauci guilty of contempt of Congress. Republican Senator Rand Paul says Fauci inappropriately invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incriminality 111 times. Paul said Republicans agreed to avoid the issue before the full Senate, which would have required 60 votes. President Trump signed 2 executive orders restricting birthright citizenship. The president's order targets people who engage in commercial birth tourism by seeking to deny them access to the country. The second order expands the definition of people that it states are ineligible for birthright citizenship, such as children of foreign citizens who lobby on behalf of foreign governments. New York City citizens celebrated a pro-police rally on Staten Island by booing newly elected Mayor Zohan Mamdani so loud and so long the communist didn't get a chance to speak after he was introduced. Some 3,500 people yelled at Mamdani to, quote, "Get out of here," and "Nobody wants you," plus a few other profane suggestions. He left with his familiar smirk. In local news, Peoria police report the arrest of 2 brothers after they raided a house in the 2600 block of North California Avenue, finding multiple drugs and drug materials. Taken into custody without incident were 27-year-old DeMonte Ivy and 46-year-old Demetrius Ivy. The Peoria Journal reports retiring Peoria District 150 School Superintendent Dr. Sharon Karat made little over $322,000 last year, while newly appointed Superintendent Dr. Jerry Bell was hired for an annual salary of $255,000. The Assistant Superintendent, Alexander Agjuku, is earning $212,000 a year. 8 others in 150 administration are paid between $141,000 to $191,000. There's growing controversy over a proposed 48-unit housing project in the neighborhood of the former Harrison School on the city's south side. Mayor Rita Ali is all for the project, sponsored by the Phoenix Community Development Service, which is planned for unhoused individuals and families. Residents in the area are objecting, and they have the support of District 1 Council member Denise Jackson. Jackson calls the project ridiculous. The next Greater Peoria Honor Flight is Tuesday, September 8th. Air Force veteran Bob Reed joined us this morning to give us the details. And we're also happy to announce the retired Air Force General Dan McDonough has been named flight director for the local organization. McDonough, former commander of the 182nd Airlift Wing, has also joined our Tuesday morning crew as a regular.
Yeah, congratulations. You got that Brother Ike's last name down pat. That's well done. Nice going.
Thank you.
This morning's weather brought to you by Realtor Kathy Reynolds of HomeSmart. Now listing a beautiful 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in the city, but with an unbelievable view of the countryside from a gorgeous living room. This home has beautiful kitchen with adjoining dining room plus other amenities. You can get the details and see that beautiful views by talking with Kathy Reynolds at 309-696-2162. Now with our weather, here's John.
Roger, today it's going to be partly sunny, a high of 85 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy. Overnight, with just a chance of rain, low is going to be about 70 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 86. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, chance for showers after midnight, the low of 69. Sunday morning, showers and thunderstorms move in, then partly sunny and a high of 88. Monday, sunny with a high of 91. Currently 74 degrees.
Ooh, I love it. We'll take it and run with it along with our pet tip of the day.
Today's pet tip is brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Pet lovers are dedicated to their animals, all species from horses to turtles and of course cats and dogs. If you are a pet lover, learn these little known, somewhat amazing facts about your pet. Cat owners will tell you that their cats are every bit as communicative as dogs, yet cats are known for being aloof, but those who study cats and their behavior will tell you that cats begin to make sound as soon as they are biologically able. Cats learn quickly which sound to use to get their humans to respond appropriately. When, why, and how cats talk depends on the cat and his personality, the situation, and who he is talking to. Each cat will learn what their humans respond to, and that the same sound means something different to different people. Now, I think that's pretty smart. Some cats talk to you when you come home. They talk when you are feeding them. They talk to their toys. And then there are other cats that would only vocalize under extreme conditions, like when you step on their tail. As to who is teaching who, it's debatable, and cat owners don't care. They like and accept the interaction when it's offered and feel more appreciated when spoken to. Other owners are just happy to have their pets that are there but not needing a lot of attention. If you are thinking of adopting a cat, be sure to spend some time with it beforehand so that you get the right one to fit your lifestyle. Many rescue groups, humane societies, and animal organizations have rooms specifically designed for this kind of one-on-one interaction. These groups are not selling a pet, but rather placing one in a proper, loving, well-matched forever home. This whisker of information has been made possible by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting in partnership with Spot, Saving Pets One at a Time, and KSBR Studios. Produced by Joseph C. McGuire and theme music by Stuardo Glasser.
Today's pet tip has been brought to you by Peoria Pet Crematory of Peoria and Lewiston, providing final care for family pets, large and small, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 713-1898. That's 713-1898. More information is available at peoriapetcrematory.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this version of Breakfast with Roger and Friends. And we just learned somebody has a birthday today. Teri Chamberlain, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Teri.
You're a hottie.
Happy birthday to you.
Get lucky, get lucky, get lucky, get lucky, get lucky.
Oh, he's in Pennsylvania. That's
Hey,
not going to
I
happen.
tell you what.
You know what?
Way better than Monday.
We got to rewatch this on the afternoon show.
Monday, it sounded like you're singing. There was a pack of stray cats that gathered outside the station building on Monday when you guys sang. I don't know if you knew that, yeah.
Wonderful.
Now, see, that's a much better picture than that one.
Yeah.
Thank
sure
you.
is. Hey, we purposely delayed our This Day in History.
Oh, thank you.
So here's the question.
Oh, boy.
Which you want to do first? You want to do This Day in History or you want to do the weather? Probably should do the weather.
Let's do this day in weather and history.
Sure.
Somebody,
This is called radio silence.
Oh, yeah, well, I don't know this day in weather history.
I don't know either.
I
So
don't-
I thought
yeah.
let's do the weather.
All right, let's see the weather. Gorgeous day today, more sun than clouds, but with southwest flow, we'll start to see our friend humidity trickle back in.
Oh,
Dew
yeah.
points are going to go up through the weekend, and it's going to start feeling humid. Believe it or not, actually this afternoon we'll start to feel that humidity creeping in. As we're looking at highs in the mid-80s, but with that humidity and those upper dew points, maybe approaching 70, if not low 70s, it'll feel like almost 90. And then the mercury continues to skyrocket over the weekend. We advertised it last week. We talked about it Monday.
Yes, you did.
The heat has returned, and you'll really feel it on, I think tomorrow, but Sunday and Monday of next week will be excessively hot. As with our good friend evapotranspiration, it'll feel like around here about 105 degrees for a high on Sunday and Monday.
Wow.
Now there is some relief. So as this second warm front moves through Sunday morning, we could actually see some really robust thunderstorms in the mid-morning hours on Sunday morning, and then those will clear out as the afternoon progresses, just in time to get out to the McQuan Homecoming or the Italian-American Festa or Old Settlers Days, I think, is going on this weekend out in Brimfield. But yeah, and then we're hot to start the week, but we have ample amounts of thunderstorm chances pretty much through next Thursday, and then we have a really dominant, and I mean dominant cold front for mid-August coming through next Thursday. I believe it's the 14th or 13th, the 13th, and a great weekend next weekend, just in time for the Taste of St. Mark's.
Ooh, that's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming up exciting.
I wouldn't ask anything else you want to add before I ask this question.
No, the weather-wise, there
Hot
was some
and
fog this
humidity,
morning when
yeah.
I ran, but
There was fog,
Oh, yeah,
okay,
Washington.
because we had no fog,
Yeah.
but they had
was
it in
very
the
foggy.
forecast.
Yeah, in Washington. it's very foggy.
Patchy fog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Is
mostly patchy.
is this the time of the year detasseling still taking place?
No, detassing's pretty much done.
Well, you know what? That's what I thought,
Yeah.
because I stopped at Casey's for their wonderful donuts, and also we have wonderful donuts from You Deserve a Donut in Canton. Is it-
Just donuts.
Just donuts, okay. Any rate, there was a bus, not yellow, they had painted it a dark color, and a group of Hispanics, I'd say 6 or 7 of them, were loading up on food, and they were getting on the bus, and I thought they might be workers going to detassel, but I thought, are we too late in the season to
Pretty
be
late in the season,
detasseling? Yeah.
especially with we had the corn is well past its I mean, it's in mature stage now, but most of the tassels were already past pollination
Okay.
and germination.
Well, then maybe they were doing something else
yeah.
for
they
someone
could be
else.
Bean walking. Have you ever done that?
No.
Okay.
Pulling weeds?
No, bean walking. So you walk
Yeah.
along the bean fields and just, well, I guess you pull weeds, but no, you just measure the height and walk along and
I thought they
make sure
pulled
everything's-
weeds too.
we do, well, we pull corn stalks is what we do, not weeds.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You don't pull weeds in the bean field?
Independent corn in the
Generally,
bean
we
field.
spray in bean fields is how we do it now. But yeah,
Okay.
it's just
Yeah.
for the past
with
60
drones.
years or so.
All right. Well, let's get into
Yes, the quiz.
the quiz.
I do enjoy this.
August 7th, 1782, something happened in our nation's capital that continues today. What might that have been?
Well, that was George Washington.
So it was George Washington. So he did something that was historic and is fondly remembered today.
Did he start an organization?
I guess you would say that.
Oh, he did. He started an organization. Okay.
But I don't
I
want
was thinking
to-
like a award or something.
You're what?
I was thinking like an award or something.
Well, you're more in line with what happened.
Sons of the
then.
American Revolution?
No.
The Purple Heart, established the Purple Heart.
is exactly right.
Job. Purple Heart was established. Wonderful.
He was commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, and he created, it had a different title back then. It may still have the same title, but I've never heard the Purple Heart called this.
Was it meritorious service?
Well, you're close.
Was it the violet cardiac organ?
That was close. I'll give it to it. It was created, he created the badge for military merit. So that would be the same. And the decoration consisted of a heart-shaped piece of purple silk edged with a narrow binding of silver with the word merit stitched across the face in silver. He did this in what city?
Washington, D.C.
No,
right?
that's what I thought,
Oh.
and I was wrong.
Philadelphia.
No,
Richmond, Virginia.
no.
New York City.
It was in New York, but what city?
Albany,
No,
Syracuse.
Saratoga.
no,
Waterloo.
no,
Rochester.
no.
Buffalo?
Newburgh.
Oh, yeah, because we're
I'm
so
sure
familiar with
everybody-
Newburgh.
Well, you didn't. Yeah. Okay. I forgot. Yeah, he had a girlfriend in Newburgh, and he went up to see her and gave her.
Did
Gave her the old purple.
Poor
heart.
Martha.
Poor, yeah, poor Martha.
Purple Heart.
Interesting, the badge was to be presented to soldiers for any singularly meritorious action, which is the word that you used, John, and permitted its wearer to pass guards and sentinels without challenge. If you had this on, you could not challenge them.
Fantastic.
The honoree's name and regiment were also to be inscribed in a book of merit. Washington's Purple Heart was awarded to only 3 known soldiers during the Revolutionary War. Who were they?
You got to be kidding me.
You are kidding me? It's not one of the names.
Paul Revere.
Elijah Churchill, William Brown, and Daniel Bissell Jr. The Book of Merit, by the way, was lost, and the decoration largely forgotten until what year?
1862.
It was in the 1900s.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
1912.
Higher?
1938?
What,
1938?
Lower.
1926.
Close by 1 year, 1927.
Oh, very good.
When General Charles Summerall, is that a familiar name?
It is.
He was U.S. Army Chief of Staff, sent an unsuccessful draft bill to Congress to revive the badge of military merit. But in 1931, Summerall's successor was who? And he
Eisenhower.
took up the cause. Was
Eisenhower.
not Eisenhower.
No, it was George.
No, it wasn't George. Old soldiers never die, they just fade away.
MacArthur?
General Douglas MacArthur.
MacArthur, yeah.
So, took up the cause, hoping to reinstate the medal in time for the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. And on February 22nd, 1932, the U.S. War Department announced the creation of the Order of the Purple Heart.
See, it was the War Department in 1932,
Yes.
as it is again in
Absolutely.
2026.
And it was run by Pete Hegseth in 1932.
And his wife.
Muriel. All right, August 8th, 1974. What momentous
Oh, was that Nixon?
historic Richard Nixon
Oh, he resigned.
Resigned,
Right.
yeah.
Good memory.
Where were you when he did that? Do you remember?
No, and I don't care.
I wasn't born
in,
yet.
I was in Des Moines, Iowa, watching it on my grandma's TV, and I was like, I think this is pretty important.
Yeah.
I was a glint in my father's eye.
He resigned because of the controversial Watergate burglary scandal.
Which today wouldn't even be a headline in the Enquirer.
Wouldn't be a pimple on an
Typical
elephant's
business as
butt.
usual in D.C.
Yeah. Good, class. All right,
Thank you,
let's
sir.
go to August 9th, 1936. What historic event took place in Europe? Name the country first.
Germany.
Germany is correct.
Yeah.
66?
What?
66?
1936.
Oh, 36.
So that was an Olympic year. So was Jesse Owens.
That is correct.
Yep.
What did he do?
He won 4 gold medals.
You're exactly right. Boy, this guy
Shoeless Jesse Owens.
Yeah, she was just
won his 4th gold medal of the games in the 100-meter relay. His relay team set a new record of 39.8 seconds.
And Roger, what did Adolf think of that?
He was
He
unhappy.
was not
He
impressed.
was not happy.
Because the skin color, because the 4 gold medals,
It kind of.
or all the above.
He's not very Aryan.
Speaking of Berlin, if I may transition.
Well, one final statement.
Oh.
Hitler was disappointed because he planned to use the Berlin Games in a showcase of superiority.
Of the fatherland?
Of whites.
Oh.
Aryan.
Aryan.
Yeah.
He was a fan of them. Yeah.
Okay, now you can change the subject.
Speaking of Berlin,
Yeah.
by the grace of God and the power of EF, we do have a foreign exchange student this year, and she arrived on Wednesday due to an emergency situation with the host family she was assigned. So one day I'll bring her in the studio. I asked her last night if she wanted to come in today. She's much more shy than Nicholas. And Nicholas was shy, but she's very shy.
Well, wait till she comes on the
Well,
show.
wait till she comes on the
We
show.
will nourish her blossoming into a star.
Absolutely. There you go. She knows exactly what you said. I do not. But Lillian Eckert from Lichterfeld, Germany.
I've
which
been
is-
there.
You've been to Lichterfeld?
Yep.
Oh my goodness! You have to have her in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds Guten Morgen.
Did you get slapped?
Did I what?
Did you get slapped?
In Lichterfeld?
No.
I mean, you licked her fell. Did you get?
Oh.
Judges, what do you
You
think
got us.
of
There's
John's
a-
comment?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You got
Oh boy.
It's always bad when you got to explain the joke.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very much so. I was
That's
one of them,
wonderful.
too.
So what year will she be in school?
Well, so Washington, when they foreign exchange kids go, you have them go through the senior rights and everything.
Okay.
But she'd technically be a sophomore, is what she would be.
Sophomore.
Yep,
Mhm.
Yeah, she's 15. She turns 16 next month. Very tall.
Volleyball
just-
player, maybe?
Yes, very much.
I
so.
tell you what, how's her language? Is she fluent in English?
Incredible.
So she will likely
Yeah.
compete with seniors educationally
Oh, yeah,
because the German education
Yes.
system is phenomenal.
Yes,
Yeah,
a lot of her
sure.
classes are senior level classes, which is how Nicholas was too. And I remember Nicholas. So when he tried out for the soccer team, they put him on the JV squad, and then 2 games in, I remember when he texted us and told us after the game, he's like, "I got promoted to varsity." It's like, well, yeah, you're pretty good out there.
You've been kicking that ball since grade
Right,
school.
exactly. Yeah, he's been playing soccer for a long time.
Well, God bless you guys for taking a last-minute change and
Last
giving this
minute.
girl a home. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Was she
well-
coming to the area?
Yeah, she was in the area. She was
Oh,
in
okay.
Washington, but the host family didn't
work out.
Yep. And she just got here last Tuesday, and the host parents decided this isn't working. And on Sunday, they called EF, the local person, and said, "Hey, this isn't working out. You need to find her a new home." So we got the text Sunday afternoon, actually, on the way back from my wife's grandmother's house. She passed away in March, and so we took pictures on the porch because the house sells today, actually. It's selling right now. It's closing. And we got the text, and Ken and I talked about it, and we prayed about it, and our hearts just ached for this poor girl in this situation who literally came over here. In 2 weeks' time, she's
expecting
homeless.
one thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's homeless, essentially. And school's about to start. Starts on Wednesday, so we just said, we have the space.
You know,
Let's-
God bless you.
Let's do it. So,
God
yeah.
bless you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
You and your family have been anointed to do great things. And seriously, you're doing great things for this young lady. And you know what? Those things happen for a reason.
does. The whole
And
story
it's
drives us,
too
surprises us.
beneficial to, do you call her Lily?
No, she doesn't like Lily.
Okay.
We tried the Lily thing. It doesn't work. Lillian.
Lillian? She
Very
went
formal.
That's
Very-
okay.
That's
Lillian is all right. I actually like that better than Lily. You know,
Yeah, I like
Lily of the
Lily better,
Valley.
but I guess
Is
she-
it 2 L's, Lillian double L, or one L?
L.
One L.
So
The
a very good
Japanese
friend of
style.
ours is Lillian with 1 L as well.
Lillian Josephine Eckert from
That's
Lichterfeld.
And where is she from? Oh, yeah, you said Lichtenfeld.
Lichterfeld, yeah,
Yeah.
just outside
That's a
Berlin.
beautiful area. I'm trying to think. Was it in the Bavarian section of Germany?
No.
Or is it right next to?
It's right.
I'm trying to picture where it was. I do know, as I recall, it's a mountainous area, is it not?
No.
Not? Well, maybe I wasn't
You're
there.
thinking somewhere else. Yeah. No, it's just southwest of Berlin is how she described it. Like
Oh, really?
Berlin, Metro
Well,
Berlin's about 45 minutes.
I was in West Berlin when it was west.
Yep.
Yeah, now it's
And that's where she would be.
great.
She'd be West Berlin.
Mhm. What's your
she's
favorite
Catholic.
school subject? Have you found that out yet? History?
She doesn't like math.
She doesn't like
No, she
math?
doesn't like math.
Good. I already like her.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't like math
I'll
either.
help her with that. I don't know
Yeah.
what her favorite
You
subject
think she's listening? Is she in school?
No, she's not in school yet. She wasn't even awake yet when I left the house.
Okay.
Because I tried to get her to come in. We talked about it last night.
She said, "Are you kidding?" She said 9. How many times did she say 9?
My wife described it to her. She's like, it's like the AARP, power hour.
Hey, you know what? we got to get out of here.
All right, let's get out of
It's
here.
9 o'clock. Have a
Happy
great day,
weekend,
everyone.
everyone.
Remember, God loves you, and so do we. Have a great weekend.
Guten Tag.
Guten Abend. Guten Tag.